It's on a shorty new year, shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty, we're so glad you're here. Camp Shorty is where you will find family. Our mod Avengers will greet you with glee. At Camp Shorty, you can shine and shine bright, because Shorty Camp Leader is a fucking delight. It's on this shorty new year, a shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty, we're so glad you're here. Your opinions are valid. You can fly like a bird with your comments and scream. You will always be heard. It's the best chat on YouTube. You can cuss all you want. And here at Camp Shorty, we even say cut. It's on this shorty new year, a shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty, we're so glad you're here. Let your caps be free. It's so liberating. We stay on topic, although occasionally things get a bit feral, but it's clear to see. It's a lit shorty new year, a shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty, we're so glad you're here. Camp Shorty is where you will find family. Our mod Avengers will greet you with glee. At Camp Shorty, you can shine and shine bright, because the Shorty Camp Leader is a fucking delight. It's on this shorty new year, a shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty, we're so glad you're here.
Hey, shorties. Oh, 2023. I just noticed that, Taryn. I mean, is it even, remember my diary my journal that we read my goals from last night for 2024, but they were 2023. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Christine K-Fan. Hi. Thank you, Joseph. Straight out of the gate. Hi, Poppy. Joseph, straight out of the gate, being a fucking legend. Love you. So Stream Elements is telling us who are the people who got the memberships. Melinda M. Damon. Yay. Definitely Melinda's someone who watches us and comes in chat often. Hi, of course. Good to see you. Sarah with an H. Steph. Girl. Ashley's here. Happy New Year, everybody. We're in day 2 in Australia of 2025, not 2023. But y'all over there in the States, 2025. Let's do this. Poppy, hi. What are you barking at? Oh, hang on. Buster's stuck in the room. Hang on. Wait. Uno momento. Gosh, it's still happening. Poppy and Buster emotes in the chats. There it is. There it is. Hi, Kim. Good to see you. Prince Lover Girl. Hi. Taryn. I'm so sorry. I got called into work and put on standby because of a mess in New Orleans. No. Don't apologize. The 2023 is fun. We are professionals, Taryn, and that's not fun at all. Thoughts and prayers for everybody. I just saw one brief headline on the Twitter about that. So yeah, wow, tragic. It's always tragic shit going on at this time of the year, right? Hi, Laura. Good to see you. Lady V, peace. Hi. Rach, here on statistics. Hi, Catherine from Arizona. Puppy. Fuck that spider. Hi, Meg P. Good to see you. I love you. Are you going to go and sit down? Go and get an antler or a toy. Go, down you go. Good girl. Down you go. So, Debbie Blair's here. Amazing. Good to see you. Cheryl's here. I'm just going to let a few people stream in. Did you all have a good night last night? If you weren't here with us, were you out on the town? Were you asleep? Were you watching the Glarer? Amazing effort from the Glarer. I've seen a little bit of shirts off, a little bit of thirst trapping going on over there. We were just over here being like laughing out till our cheeks hurt with silly TikToks and the like. It was a fun night. So what are we talking about tonight? Well, we're back into a little bit of psychology corner. Hi, Bussy, big boy. Psychology corner, logical fallacies. So this might be a term, a phrase that. Hi, Moon Goddess. Good to see you. A phrase that. Did I see Holly? Holly Street's here. Holly Street's been backing me hard on the old Twitters, but with a sense of humor. Thank you, Holly. There she is. Hi, Holly. Good to see you. Bang, bang. So logical fallacies are like, they're basically, if you're in a debate with someone or a discussion, and you're of opposing sides in that discussion, an adversarial discussion, whether that's in politics, in the law field, in a relationship, with the trolls on the Twitter, you might realize that, I mean, we all know the antis, the Karen Reid antis, tend to go straight for personal attacks, unfounded, ludicrous, vile ones. Those are ad hominem logical fallacies, where they basically go for your character. Taryn can't deal with the 2023 shit. Taryn, did you get, I sent you the music, the MP3 of that track rather than the audio from the video. I sent that to you in Discord, by the way. So there are a bunch. Yeah, hi mods. Hi mods. Low blows, yes. Or absurd responses. Yes, there's lots of absurdities in the logical fallacies. So I've got a few videos. Poppy, you don't need to go outside now. The door's been opened for the last 6 hours. So she says, I just want your attention. Did I see Ruthie here? Maybe I didn't. Oh, Poppy, come on now. I can't do the licking. Most of the time I can't do the licking of Poppy on my hands. Oh, Gingy says my mom Catherine may have donated a chunk for the shirtless Will last night. Well, thank you, Mom Catherine. It's not, I mean, all for a good cause, right? And he works very hard for that rig, so good. I fixed the sound with MP3. Yes. It's all right. Don't worry. I think it's funny. Yikes. Lol. Debbie says, lol. That was great when he took off his shirt. Thank you, Mom. Turtle Boy took his shirt off too. Yes, I did see that. Needless to say, there'd have to be an enormous donation to the Karen Reid Defence Fund for me to take my shirt off, and no amount of money in the world would ever get me to take it all off. So don't get any ideas, Gingy, or anyone. The whole stream was funny and fun. Yes, I saw some of it. It was great. And then we were live, and then I just didn't go back to it because I don't know. Lady V will be in and out of chat today. That's okay. Stop by whenever you can. Thank you for being here at all. Just make sure you drag your DNA on the like button before you go. When you go, come back. Tiff Wade's here. Hey, gorgeous. Good to see you. Please pray for New Orleans. Hi, Mello. I don't live too far from there. It's very it's tragic. Was it just it was an accident, or we don't know yet? It wasn't a Daryl Brooks kind of a situation, was it? Or was it? We'll find out. I'm sure there'll be more information coming out in coming days and weeks and months. I heard 10 people have lost their lives and 30. Oh. Well, people are evil, aren't they? Sometimes. The next stream we're doing, It was terrorism. Hey, sassy bartender, good to see you. Yeah, that's bad. Okay, well, looking for 4 more suspects. So Daryl Brooks was just a crazy motherfucker, like an asshole, right? With some sort of axe to grind. Okay. Yeah, it's the bad word group, I think. 15, yes. Hi, Daisy, I love you too. Good to see you. 15 confirmed dead. Yes. Okay, I saw 10, but I don't scroll on Twitter very much these days for many reasons, and I don't watch news outlets. Well, I'm so sorry, New Orleans, and I'm so sorry, America, and I'm so sorry, humankind. That shit is not okay. Whew. Well, I mean, do you want to learn some stuff to take your mind off it about logical fallacies? They had a terrorist flag on the truck. Yeah. Well then, close those borders. I don't know whether that's, I mean, I understand the political stance on borders. I think it's, from my mind, it's important to realize that all people can be evil and all people can be good. And that, like, closing those borders would mean also that someone like me couldn't come to the States, So there are, it doesn't have to be binary. There can be better, in my opinion, better screening processes. And even if you do close those borders hard, there will still be people that will get through, and people who are like generational immigrants in every country. So yes, take my mind off it. Good. It was an American-born citizen. Exactly. So, Buster, that's really noisy. See, there you go. Yeah. Let's learn something new. Okay, I love learning. And then the stream after this. Hi, Buster, you got an antler. Can you see his antler? Are you so tough? Thanks, I love that in my face. Bit of marrow, bit of antler, bit of deer marrow. Thank you. You're really cool. Is that a good one? Okay, there's plenty of antlers. Bye. Poppy, there's lots of antlers. Go and get a toy or something. Fuck. Nobody is arguing about legal immigration. Yeah. Hi, Jim Cox. Everybody loves Cox. Yo. That's what we needed. We need Coxie here to make us take our minds off the sadness and help us think about dicks. Hi, grass is green enough. Good to see you. Okay, so logical fallacies. I've got some videos. No, Miss Shorty, there's a legal way. Didn't know it was domestic terror. That's okay. That's why we're here. We can all learn together. I love this. I love this community because we can throw things out there. No one piles on anybody. I learn, you learn, we all learn. It's so good. Cox. Yes, Cox. Jim Cox, but also Cox. Give me those dogs. So cute. Holly, they are super cute. Right. So, logical fallacies. Gracie Ellis here. I didn't see you, Gracie. Hi. I should see you because you got a beautiful star in your name. All right. Wait, how do I do this every time? Present screen. Couple of short videos. One is quite so all of the logical fallacies explained in one like 11-minute video. So I want you to, as we go along these, I want you to drop in the chat and I'll pause and we'll discuss them as we go. But what am I doing here? Fuck chat. You know what my hope is for at least 2025? 2026, I reckon I'm going to get this whole present screen thing. We'll get there one day. Every logical fallacy explained in 11 minutes. Boom. It's the top one. Fancy that, the first tab. Amazing. It's like magic. It's got no volume. That's not going to help anybody. Okay, so let's watch this. Oh, wait, press play. Fuck. Hey, thanks for being here and Happy New Year. And I'm sorry that there's been some pretty serious tragedy in your country, in the world, in the universe. But let's do some learning and put our brains to good work rather than dwell on that sadness that we can't change anything right now. But sending prayers.
Hominem fallacy. The ad hominem fallacy. The ad hominem fallacy happens when someone attempts to discredit someone's argument with personal attacks rather than the substance of the argument itself. Hasty generalization. Hasty generalization, also known as the overgeneralization fallacy, happens when making a claim based on evidence that...
So these are rapid fire. Don't worry, we've got another video and another video and another video. We're going to finish with Dr. Ramani because she talks about the cost, what is it? The sunk cost fallacy in a relationship. But these ones, this is very rapid fire. So I might even slow it down just a tiny bit because it's fast. They try to get it in 11 minutes. We've got the time. 11 minutes. We don't need. We put it down to 0.9. We'll see.
That is just too small.
That's
red herring fallacy. A red herring is something that misleads or distracts from a relevant or important question. It might be used to change the subject. Tu quoque fallacy.
Mike.
Tu quoque is a technique that intends to discredit the opponent's argument by attacking the opponent's own personal behavior and actions as being inconsistent with their argument, therefore accusing hypocrisy instead of countering the actual argument. Slippery slope fallacy. In a slippery slope argument, a course of action is rejected because, with little or no evidence, one insists that it will lead to a chain reaction resulting in an undesirable end or ends. Special pleading fallacy. Special pleading happens when applying standards, principles, or rules to other people or circumstances, while making oneself or certain circumstances exempt from the same critical criteria without providing adequate justification.
Just pausing to say, members, there are a couple of new members members only emotes in the chat. Sorry, vapes, thinking for you. Including chat is Bay. Amber's not here yet, but that was Amber's request. And cheese. We haven't got to cheese yet, as in eating it, but cheese. There's always time for cheese. In my Discord channel server, we have a whole channel devoted to cheese, of course. Love you to join. Just to talk about cheese, obviously.
Loaded question. A loaded question is a question that already contains an assumption. False dilemma fallacy. The false dilemma fallacy, also called the black and white fallacy, occurs when someone misrepresents an issue by offering only two options when more exist, or by presenting the options as mutually exclusive when they are not.
Don't apologize, Rach. There's always time for conversation about cocks. Seriously, always.
Strawman fallacy. A strawman fallacy happens when one rebuts an argument by misconstruing it. Circular reasoning. The circular reasoning fallacy is an argument that assumes the very thing it is trying to prove is true. Instead of offering evidence, it simply repeats the conclusion, rendering the argument logically incoherent. Appeal to authority fallacy. It is a form of argument in which the mere fact that an influential figure holds a certain position is used as evidence that the position itself is correct. Appeal to nature fallacy. It's an argument in which it is proposed that a thing is good because it is natural or bad because it is unnatural. It's a fallacy because the unstated primary premise, what is natural is good, is typically irrelevant and an opinion instead of a fact. Composition fallacy. It arises when one infers that something is true of the whole from the fact that it is true of some part of the whole. Division fallacy. The division fallacy occurs when one reasons that something that is true for a whole must also be true for all or some of its parts. Affirming the consequent. Affirming the consequent is the fallacy of...
So I'm just going to pause there. I can think of an example on that, the composition fallacy. You know, when there's some bad eggs in some bad actors in, for example, the police profession. Bad police, corrupt police. We know, we've all heard of a few. Assuming that all police are bad and arguing that all police are bad purely based on the clear indication that there are some bad eggs in every profession, including the police, or the mass state police. Although I'm sure there's some great mass state police troopers, but so there's a good one for a composition. It's not necessarily just that a whole car is made out of rubber. It can apply to groups of people or in general.
taking a true conditional statement, such as, if the lamp were broken, then the room would be dark, under certain assumptions like it is nighttime and the windows are closed, and invalidly inferring its converse, the room is dark, so the lamp must be broken. Anecdotal fallacy. The anecdotal fallacy occurs when people use their limited personal experience to draw sweeping conclusions about a given topic. Appeal to emotion fallacy. It's a technique characterized by the manipulation of the other person's emotions in order to win an argument, especially in the absence of factual evidence. Burden of proof.
Oh my God, I just stopped sharing. Fuck, I just X'd out of it. Fuck. Jesus, fuck chat. Hang on. Fuck. God damn it. Hang on, give me a second. God damn it. Happy New Year. This one. I found it again. Oh my God. God. Wait. Suppressed core. What? This one. Found it. It's all good. We've got this, chat. I'm such a professional. It's all good. Let me put this where it needs to be. You know it. Wouldn't have me any other way. Iconic shorty, right? So what do? Present screen. Deja vu. Yikes.
Fallacy. The anecdotal fallacy occurs when people use their limited personal experience to draw sweeping.
What I wanted to say was that appeal to emotions fallacy. Was it that one? Wait. God damn it. Fuck. Was it the next one? Whatever. I was going to say Grant Smith Ellis, how he's like, whoa, but I'm disabled, you know.
Experience to draw sweeping conclusions about a given topic. Appeal to emotion fallacy.
This
It's
one.
a technique characterized by the manipulation of the
Ellis.
other person's emotions in order to win an argument, especially in the absence of factual evidence. Burden of proof fallacy. The burden of proof lies with the one who makes a claim, not the one who denies it. The burden of proof fallacy happens when a person tries to remove their need to provide proof for many reasons. No true Scotsman fallacy. It's an attempt to defend a generalization.
Yes, that's a really good one, Rach. This is a good example. I commented in a YouTube stream once and didn't get a response. All YouTubers ignore their chats. Absolutely. That's a fantastic one. A sweeping generalization, a logical fallacy. And it's not true.
Of a certain group by excluding any counterexamples for not being pure enough. Texas sharpshooter fallacy. The Texas sharpshooter fallacy takes its name from the metaphor of a gunman shooting and then drawing targets around the bullet hole clusters to make it look like he hit the target. It illustrates how people first figure out what their conclusion is and then go looking for data that supports it, ignoring differences and randomness. Suppressed correlative. The attempt to redefine one of two mutually exclusive options so that one alternative encompasses the other, thus making one alternative impossible. Something like, I need to know if we should stop for lunch or not. You are either hungry or not hungry, which is it? If being hungry means being able to eat, I am always hungry. Personal incredulity fallacy. It's committed when the arguer presumes that whatever is true must be easy to understand or to imagine. Ambiguity fallacy. It happens when an unclear phrase with multiple definitions is used within the argument. Therefore, it does not support the conclusion. Genetic fallacy. The genetic fallacy is the act of rejecting or accepting an argument solely on the basis of its origin rather than its content.
Pausing to say, Laura, that sounds delicious. Savory porridge. Lucky you. Did you bin it? Did you put it in the trash and make another new whole bowl? Yikes.
Middle ground fallacy.
Happy New Year.
It's the fallacy that the truth is always in the middle of two opposites. Affirming a disjunct. The affirming a disjunct fallacy occurs when, given an either-or scenario, you wrongly assume that if one statement or outcome is true, the other one cannot be true. Appeal to tradition. It happens when we ignore the evidence that we should change because we have been doing something for a long time. Sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy is our tendency to continue with something we've invested money, effort, or time into, even if the current costs outweigh the benefits.
So a relationship, a Commonwealth's case against an innocent woman when clearly, this is a bad case. It's not a case. It's not a winnable case.
Appeal to ignorance. It happens when someone asserts that a proposition is true because it has not yet been proven false, or that a proposition is false because it has not yet been proven true.
Excellent, Mike.
Continuum fallacy. It's the argument that two states or conditions cannot be considered distinct, or do not exist at all, because between them there exists a continuum of states. Equivocation. The equivocation fallacy refers to the use of an ambiguous word or phrase in more than one sense within the same argument. Faulty analogy. A faulty analogy is saying that two things are alike in other ways just because they are alike in one way. Denying the antecedent. Denying the antecedent infers the inverse from an original statement. It's something like, if you are a ski instructor, then you have a job. You are not a ski instructor, therefore you have no job. False cause. A false cause fallacy occurs when someone incorrectly assumes that something causes something else without enough proof, usually using just a correlation as proof. Definite fallacy. It happens when one defines a term in such a way that makes one's position much easier to defend. Ecological fallacy. Ecological fallacies assume what is true for a population is true for the individual members of that population. Etymological fallacy. Etymological fallacy is the
So we're flying through these. Don't worry, there's more videos, and we can go into it further. But I see some people throwing out some examples. Love. It doesn't matter if it's the fallacy itself has flown past, because it is flying, this video. Drop your ideas in the chat, because we need to be able to identify these, because they're very common. Some of them are very commonly used in life in general, not just with trolls.
faulty argument that the true meaning of a word is its oldest or original meaning. Quoting out of context. It's a fallacy in which a passage from a quote is removed from its surrounding matter in such a way as to distort its intended meaning. Context may be omitted intentionally or accidentally. False equivalence. It's a fallacy in which an equivalence is drawn between two subjects.
On that note, straight-laced officers queen, I'm just going to call you queen, says, geez, I wish I knew these. I'm going to watch this back. It's quite interesting. So if you would like to watch the videos that we're watching together tonight without my commentary, can't imagine why, but maybe there's a couple of people out there who want to do that. They're all linked in the description box of the video. So they're all there as separate ones, so you can just watch at your leisure.
Based on flawed or false reasoning.
Wait, on that note, if your replay crew, hi, thank you so much for watching this after the fact. Maybe try to catch a live next time. It's really fun. Our chats are always beautiful and kind and informed and fun. But if you are a replay crew and you'd like to watch the live chat replay, I do try to pull as many of the comments up on screen and sometimes pause to read them out and talk about them further. But if you're on a handheld device like an iPhone or like your mobile phone, your cell phone, or an iPad, and you want to watch the live chat replay, you go to the comment section. Don't tap into it. Just swipe left on the comment section of the video, and it will give you the option to watch the live chat replay instead. And that applies to any replay crew that you're watching of any channel.
Historian's fallacy. The historian's fallacy occurs when one assumes that decision makers in the past viewed events from the same perspective and had the same information as those subsequently analyzing the decision. Inflation of conflict. It's the error of exaggerating the amount of disagreement in a field in order to invalidate claims in that field. Incomplete comparison. It's a misleading argument popular in advertising. Since the assertion is incomplete, it cannot be refuted. Ludic fallacy. It's a term used to describe how people mistake the kind of uncertainty found in games for the kind of uncertainty found in real life. For example, organized competitive fighting trains the athlete to focus on the game and, in order not to dissipate his concentration, to ignore the possibility of what is not specifically allowed by the rules. Moralistic fallacy.
Oh, hi, Scott McGuinness. Good to see you. Happy New Year, sir. Always good to see you. Always. I hope you had a lovely evening last night and are feeling pumped, like all of us, for 2025. This is our year, shorties. This is our year.
Making statements about what is on the basis of claims about what ought to be in violation of fact-value distinction. Nirvana fallacy. Comparing a realistic solution with an idealized one and discounting or even dismissing the realistic solution as a result of comparing it to a perfect world or impossible standard. Proof by assertion. It's
So
a
many
fallacy
fallacies.
in which a proposition is repeatedly restated, regardless of contradiction and refutation. The proposition can sometimes be repeated until any challenges or opposition cease, letting the proponent assert it as fact solely due to a lack of challengers. Cherry picking. It's the act of pointing to individual cases or data that seem to confirm a particular position while ignoring a significant portion of related and similar cases or
Excuse me. Cherry picking is a very common one, right? We see and we hear that term all the time. And now you know, cherry picking is one of the many, the plethora of logical fallacies that are out there. Some more common than others.
data that may contradict that position. Psychologist's fallacy. It's a fallacy that occurs when an observer assumes that his or her subjective experience reflects the true nature of an event. Reification fallacy. It happens when an abstract concept is treated as if it were a concrete, real event. Something like saying that evolution selects which traits are passed on to future generations, while evolution is not a conscious entity with will.
Pausing to say thank you so much, Joseph. Everybody, Joseph, Joey, we call him Joey around here, around these streets, is such a beautiful supporter of the channel and of me personally also. Good friend. And it's thanks to Joseph mostly. There are, of course, others, Steph, Amber, Meg P. People have been gifting memberships galore over the last month or so, months. But it's because of Joey that we've got... as if he's flicking out the stripper money every live that we have the new members only emotes. So thank you so much, Joseph, and welcome new shorties.
Retrospective determinism. It's the thought that because something happened under some circumstances, it was therefore bound to happen due to those circumstances. Thought terminating cliche. It's a form of loaded language, often passing as folk wisdom, with the function of stopping an argument from proceeding further, ending the debate with a cliche rather than a point. Fallacy of the single cause. It occurs when it is assumed that there is a single, simple cause of an outcome, when, in reality, it may have been caused by a number of small causes. Appeal to the stone. It happens when a dismissal is made by stating or reiterating that the argument is absurd without providing further argumentation.
Oh, the trolls. The trolls. I've had this many times recently with my own personal attacks on me on Twitter. And I'm like, and they say, okay, here's a good example. You're an irresponsible creator, an irresponsible live streamer, an irresponsible YouTuber. I'm like, okay, could you please give me an example or some examples of where you can cite I've been an irresponsible streamer? And you know what we got on that one? Wait, I've got something for that. Thanks, Taryn. Taryn's dropped a new sound bites.
My boy Billy Tibbet.
Anyway, carrying on. Yes. And how do you say it? Reification. I don't know how to say it. It's a word I've done. I know a lot of words, man. I don't know that one. Gonna have to Google it. And how to say it.
Ignoratio elenchi. Ignoratio elenchi, also called missing the point, is the fallacy of presenting an argument that may or may not be logically valid and sound, but whose conclusion fails to address the issue in question. Circumstantial ad hominem. Stating that the arguer's personal interest in advancing a conclusion means that their conclusion is wrong. Tone policing, an ad hominem fallacy that focuses on the emotion behind a message rather than the message itself as a discrediting tactic. Association fallacy. It's the fallacy that asserts that properties of one thing must also be properties of another thing, if both things belong to the same group. Appeal to accomplishment. It's kind of an appeal to authority fallacy. It happens when an assertion is deemed true or false based on the accomplishments of the proposer. Courtier's reply. When a criticism is dismissed by claiming that the critic lacks sufficient knowledge, credentials, or training to credibly comment on the subject matter. Appeal to consequences. It's an argument that concludes a hypothesis to be either true or false based on whether the premise leads to desirable or undesirable consequences. Appeal to novelty. It happens when a proposal is claimed to be superior or better solely because it is new or modern. Bulverism. It is the assumption and assertion that an argument is flawed or false because of the arguer's identity. Chronological snobbery. Chronological snobbery considers modern ideas superior to...
That's flying by. This is flying by. Don't worry. I feel like we almost need to watch this again. So fast. I want to listen to that one again.
identity. Chronological
Oh my
snobbery.
fuck.
It's causation fallacy. It's the fallacy that asserts that properties of one thing must also be properties of another thing if both things belong to the same group. Appeal to accomplishment. It's kind of an appeal to authority fallacy. It happens when an assertion is deemed true or false based on the accomplishments of the proposer. Courtier's reply.
Can we think of examples on that? It's right on the tip of my brain. The accomplishment fallacy.
When a criticism is dismissed by claiming that the critic lacks sufficient knowledge, credentials, or training to credibly comment on the subject matter.
So that's the Commonwealth saying that Dr. Russell, to call back to Scott's very recent comment about Dr. Russell, Marie Russell, ma'am, thank you for your service across the board in so many fields. That's absolutely the Commonwealth using the courtier's reply to try and destabilize the credibility of Dr. Russell. Ugh, not happening.
Appeal to consequences. It's an argument that concludes a hypothesis to be either true or false based on whether the premise leads to desirable or undesirable consequences. Appeal to novelty. It happens when a proposal is claimed to be superior or better solely because it is new or modern. Bulverism. It is the assumption and assertion that an argument is flawed or false because of the arguer's identity. Chronological snobbery. Chronological snobbery considers modern ideas superior to those from earlier ages just because they are modern. It's a form.
I'm pausing to say, right, Holly, and it's flying by. Trust me, I think most of us understand these tactics as they happen to us, but it's putting the names, the terminology to those concepts, which is like a little overwhelming. Don't worry, there's another video with a different format that goes through I think the more commonly used logical fallacies, and then there's another video, and then we're going to focus on the sunken cost fallacy with Dr. Ramani to finish. So yes, we're getting smarter by the minute. It's going to take a little while to get in, and if you want to watch this and go back and let it sit in your brain a bit, that's how my brain works. And I wish Amber was here. She'll be here soon. She knows all about this stuff. She's very, very. This was Amber's idea because we've been copying a lot of logical fallacies. I think many of us for a long time on the social medias, and it's nice to know that that the gaslighting is fucking real, right?
Form of appeal to novelty. I'm entitled to my opinion fallacy. When a person discredits any opposition by claiming that they are entitled to their opinion instead of logically analyzing said opposition. Two wrongs make a right. It's an argument in which an allegation of wrongdoing is countered with a similar allegation. Vacuous truth. A claim that is technically true but meaningless, such as claiming that no mobile phones in the room are on when there are no mobile phones in the room. Fallacy. It's saying that when an argument contains a fallacy, its conclusion must be false. If you like this format, check out this video. YouTube thinks that you'll like it.
We liked it. I like it. So I want to go back to that front screen. I wish I could. Oh my God. I swear vapes are good for you. I'm going to die on that hill. I probably will die on that hill soon from the vaping.
Ad hominem fallacy.
No. So there's a lot. Look at them. We just went through them. Yikes. So if you feel overwhelmed, that's why. That's why. That's a lot. If you wanted to screenshot that, now would be a good time to do it. But as I said, it's also linked in the description box. So, Mouse, come back. You silly. You silly. So let me stop into the chat for a minute. Hi, Timely Manor. Good to see you. Hello, Hanky Panky. John O'Keefe has 0 orthopedic injuries. He was not hit by a car. So who cares, dude? Amen. Scott, amen. I don't, lol. I just got here. You'll feel smarter by the end, I swear to God, even with my influence of the minimal professionalism. Hi, Amy. Good to see you. How you going, gorgeous? Amy Boston Strong. That's it. That's it. If you have a couple of dollars spare at the moment and you would like to help a good friend out, our Amy has got a little bit of a battle ahead of her, but she's the right woman for the job. Amy was recently diagnosed with breast cancer and so has some surgery and treatment coming up. So Amy has a a GoFundMe. Here, I'm popping it up on the screen right now. Any little amount counts and will help, or big amount, of course, obviously. Hell, if someone donates $1,000 to Amy's breast to her GoFundMe, I'll take my fucking shirt off. Not my bra, but I'll take my shirt off. There you go. I need a receipt though. I need a receipt, $1,000, and it needs to land in the account. No, it can't be retracted. Boom. You heard it. Clip it. Hi, Mandy. Good to see you. Also, follow. Back to Amy. Amy has a channel. Please subscribe to Amy's channel. And Mandy has a channel. Please subscribe to Mandy's channel. We all strong women, raising up strong women. And Mandy, just for you, I'm going to go with this.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
Free my boy Billy Tibbetts.
Cool. Here we go. Kraken's rolling in. Good to see you, Kraken. Good. I feel like you're going to know this stuff. We've just covered a very comprehensive, very boom, rapid fire first video to familiarize ourselves somewhat with logical fallacies. We're going to continue with, by the way, I hate when people say continue on. Let's just say continue. Or now I'll probably say continue on 1,000 times. We're going to continue with some more videos, hopefully a little less rapid fire, and we can absorb some of this. So yes. Cheryl says, trying to make a good poster for her next court appearance. Oh, Cheryl, love it. Love. Posters are fun. Yes, she's got a bunch of friends, girl code men and women, but girl code for Amy. We're here. Yikes. Shorty titties. Yes, please. I got to tell you, of all the things that pedo pirate had to leak on the Twitters, on the socials, couldn't he have just leaked my boobies, the pictures of my boobies? Damn it. Someone donated $2,000 to Karen's defense fund during Will's 12-hour stream. Yes. Tell them if they want a sticker, I'll give them 3 for $2,000. $5,000. Ginger says, so tempting for the other schoolboys watching. I mean, anything for a good cause, right? Amy's link. Yes, Amy's link. We can drop Amy's link in the chat. Easy peasy. One of my amazing mods will do it. Logical fallacies. Yes. Fallacies. I struggle to spell it with an F because my brain, fallacies, they're kind of dick moves, aren't they? Logical fallacies. So the fact that we could so Kraken, thank God you're here. Good. I need you. We need you. I know about people being dicks. Hi, Andy. Good to see you. Everyone flowing in. Oh, 69 in the chat. We need a 69 emote. 69 watching, not 69 in the chat. Boom. Taryn, for you. It's like the 69 is our number. And because I'm 3 boobs or 3 stickers, I've only got 2 boobs. So it'll be 2 boobs and 3 stickers for sure. But not all the boobs. Yikes. Oh, my God. What have I got myself into? Thank you, Amy. There's Amy's fund. There it is. 69. Yes, 69. Thank you, chat. I love you all so much. 69. That's our next. We need more members so we can have a 69 emote. You know what? I'll swap out the no lube one for 69. Seems appropriate anyway. So we need 19 more likes to get to 69. Let's fucking go, right? There it is. Who's taken down their decorations yet? Not me. But in my defense, I have a full 12 months, 11 and a half months to take mine down because I left my tree up last year for the whole year. However, I took the decorations off in late July. So it was just the tree, a bare tree standing in my living room. That's how I like to roll. Crystal's here. Hi. Good to see you. Oh, Crystal, accidentally, if you watched the live stream last night, Crystal accidentally sent me a link to a video that she had reported, and accidentally in her sending me bunches of fun things to watch through our New Year's Eve live stream, inadvertently sent, and I played it live, and Crystal was mortified. So just for everybody to understand that that's not how Crystal rolls, and she was devastated, and no need for an apology. Like we all do shit that we're like, why am I like this? So thank you, Crystal, for clarifying. Queen, Hubs and Son took the tree out today. Oh, you have a live tree? Lovely. Ashley says, any dental ticks here? I had an aortic artery ulcer that almost killed me. Oh, yikes. But ambulance knocked teeth out. Need a temp denture so badly. Not dollars, just help. Amy, I'll donate as much as possible. Ashley, Shelby, I don't know where you live, but Shelby, one of my beautiful moderators and friends, just had some got some like inserts, some temp. I don't know if they're temporary, but Shelby might be someone to ask about her experience. Just cover it with a sheet. Yes. Disney nerd. Hey girl, 69. Wishing everyone a great new year. Thank you for being a member for a month. Yay. I am 69. And I'm using it all for all I can this year. I love that. I actually cannot wait till I'm 69. What a fucking joy that will be. Not this crystal. Oh, and not this crystal. Wait, I get so confused because there's Crystal. Okay, so it was Chelsea. My bad. Chelsea. Chelsea, Courtney, and Crystal, you three all came into our community at about the same time. And my brain sees the C and the similar number of letters and thinks you're the same. Okay, so it was Chelsea. Anyway, someone, not this crystal. It was Chelsea. My bad. It probably wasn't even Chelsea. Jesus fuck. 3 boobs makes me think of Son saying to me, Mom, I have a bump under my boob. Me. That's your 3rd nipple. It happens at 25. Did your son actually have a 3rd nipple? Cool. Like a Krusty the Clown, right? Jersey Jen says, I live in a box, so my decor was 3 tiny things to put away. Jealous. No. It was no. My bad, Crystal. Sorry, my apologies. Meh. Close enough. You love my sets. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. They're so bright and colorful. Yes, thank you. It's even better because it's daytime here. I don't get the full effect. If ever I manage to be streaming in my evening, which is tricky because nobody's awake in the States when it's my evening, or not many people. No, nobody was using your name. My bad. You were fucking with him. So let's watch the next one. And now that Kraken's here, Kraken, I wish my brain had even like 1 iota of the stuff that's in your brain. I like to think I'm smart and that I know stuff, but then Kraken rolls in. I'm like, well, fuck. Tell us, please teach us, Kraken. So let's get rid of this one. Wait, what do I do? Stop screen. That. Next one. I'll move that out of the way. I can exit out. I'm exiting out of it. I've got so many tabs open. Anything to help. Okay, so this guy. Why is it doing that? Buffering. Walk and talk, chat. Walk and talk. Give me a moment. Okay, that's why. Yikes. So I like this guy. He's got a really warm, friendly face. And he, anyway, let me stop talking about it and you can see it. There's the whole video thing, right? The dogs are crunching on bickies, if you can hear. I've got to I'm going to press play and I'm going to fill their water bowl up. I realized just before I went live that they didn't have any water, and that's no good for puppas. So this guy, this is linked in the description box. The channel is called Jared Henderson. He has 384,000 subscribers. This video has 2,000 likes, 35,000 views. Not bad.
So I like to say that a logical fallacy is a pattern of reasoning that weakens your argument.
So
I like to say that a logical fallacy is a pattern of reasoning that weakens your argument, is an unreliable guide to the truth, and will lead you to make bad inferences. And if you're interested in studying philosophy or just getting better at argument, then it's helpful to know the names of some common logical fallacies. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to go through some of the most common logical fallacies, plus some that I see all the time, but that didn't really have names before, and talk about why they're bad and why you should avoid them. One of the most common fallacies that you'll encounter is the ad hominem. This is where instead of wondering about the merits of the conclusion or the particular inferences here, you instead insult someone, and then you conclude that because of this insult or because of whatever this negative character trait is, whatever they said must be false. Importantly, just insulting someone is not an ad hominem. It's when you use the insult as the basis for drawing the conclusion that they're wrong. But people also like to appeal to authority.
So the ad hominem, personally, it's almost exclusively what I am gracious and grateful enough to be receiving from people online. But I think we can all agree that the anti-Karen Reid trolls and sock accounts resort to ad hominem as their default setting every time. It's the one, you know, like the things they say to try and refute our arguments was like, what does it matter what I look like? What are you calling me? Okay, so that's all you got then. Okay, here we go. Appeal to authority.
This is when, instead of making a direct argument for a conclusion, you appeal either to some kind of authority that has power or an authority with expertise. So if you just defer to whatever the President of the United States says, then what you're really doing is just committing the appeal to authority fallacy. But similarly, if you're just appealing to an expert and saying simply because they are an expert, whatever they say about the topic is true, that's also an appeal to authority. While in general, it's probably a good idea to listen to experts about their areas of expertise, experts are not infallible, and even the consensus of experts can be wrong. At one point, many doctors thought that cigarettes.
This is wild. Yes, remember this. I don't know if many of us would remember it, but we know the story about the cigarettes and yada yada. Jim, hi, good to see you. Put your dick away, man. In legal context, sorry, that's a callback to the most recent Beverly Canoni We Need to Talk, when I was finally enlightened as to Bev's little friend Jim, the court clerk, and his dalliances with drink driving, hitting pedestrians, and whipping his dick out and doing a piss in the street. Lovely. Jim says, in legal contexts, arguments that rely on ipsi dixit are generally not considered persuasive. For example, an expert's ipsi dixit is not enough to prove something. Well, I'm going to need some ipsi dixit definitions, please, Jim. And thanks for giving me a word. I got new words all over the place today. Yikes. Maybe me not so smarts and stuff as me thinks.
Cigarettes were mostly harmless. Cigarette companies actually advertised themselves as saying that they were doctor recommended. So it turns out that even medical professionals can get things wrong about health or about science. I remember being in like a philosophical debate with someone, and they told me that I was disagreeing with Plato. And look, I like Plato. I take Plato seriously, but just the fact that I was disagreeing with him was not actually evidence against my view, right? One problem with appealing to authorities that you can often find conflicting authorities who will actually disagree with one another. And then if you think that authority figures can never be wrong, this kind of gets you into a pickle pretty quickly. Plato seems like an authority in philosophy, but there are plenty of philosophers who have disagreed with Plato. So who are we supposed to believe? Well, the answer is...
Oh, the answer, the cliffhanger, Kraken. Kraken says, I watched a few docs on cult leaders last night. When asked a direct question, no matter the topic or tone, all immediately lash out with another's behaviors versus answering the direct questions. You know what? There's plenty of cult leaders around, aren't there? Some cults are good cults. I'm thinking of the sex cult, the Turtle Boy cult. Not all members of that cult are good people, but it's a great cause. I think there are a few other people out there who do similar things in our midst right now. It's concerning because they have managed to have their people eating out of the palm of their hand. Anyway, Critical thinking is important, right? We used our own brains. We take in all the information, and if we're critical thinkers, we absorb that, and then with that information, we decide for ourselves.
Is we should look at the quality of their arguments and their evidence and then come up with the best conclusion. An appeal to emotion is when you try to stir up feelings with whoever you're arguing with or with whoever you're trying to convince. It could even be a crowd of people. This can be both positive or negative. And depending on the emotions, we give those fallacies different names, like an appeal to fear, where we try to stir up fear in the crowd and then get them to draw whatever conclusion we'd like them to draw, or an appeal to flattery, where we try to get them to feel good about themselves so that they like us in exchange and they want to agree with us. You could imagine an appeal to hatred or an appeal.
Again, if you're on the YouTube streets at the moment, there's quite a lot of this going on at the moment where folks who maybe aren't so credible or so genuine in their intentions, or in fact have a full-blown agenda, are out there in chats sucking ass. What did Prince Lover, what did you say? Swallowing their load? Out there swallowing so-and-so's load. Interesting.
Appeal to love. Basically, every kind of emotion could be the focus of an appeal to emotion fallacy. Or if you make someone feel guilty, you might be appealing to guilt or appealing to pity.
Hi, Wadia,
because they
lurk
feel
away.
bad, in order to make themselves feel better, they want to agree with you. Many people don't like to be part of the out group. They like to be in the in crowd, and they like to hold beliefs that are relatively popular. And if you appeal to the popularity of a belief in order to justify it, that's the appeal to popularity fallacy. This is sometimes also called the
so very relevant right now, yeah, for me personally, not being the popular one. I mean, with you guys, maybe. Interesting.
bandwagon fallacy.
He's explaining it very well, isn't he? Much better than those rapid fire 11 minutes of what are you talking about? I'm going back a little bit. This guy's good.
They want to agree with you. Many people don't like to be part of the out group. They like to be in the in crowd, and they like to hold beliefs that are relatively popular. And if you appeal to the popularity of a belief in order to justify it, that's the appeal to popularity fallacy. This is sometimes also called the bandwagon fallacy. Basically, popular beliefs can sometimes be false. In fact, I would say popular beliefs are often false. It was a very popular belief that the sun
Jerry.
orbited around the earth. And you could imagine some future where everyone becomes flat earthers. And so that belief is incredibly popular. But just because it's popular doesn't make it true. I think there's an inverse fallacy,
Boom.
which very few people like to talk about, but I do think is important. And that is the appeal to heterodoxy. This is one of those fallacies that I've never seen mentioned before, but I think it's worth naming. For a certain kind of person, they like to position themselves as like a bold truth teller. They're speaking truth to power, and they sometimes take the fact that no one agrees with them as a kind of evidence for their beliefs. But again, the number of people who agree with you or disagree with you just isn't relevant to whether or not your beliefs are true. Now, we're going to get to a lot more fallacies. In fact, we're going to get to 30.
So there's a lot of that going on in the Karen Reed antis camp, isn't it? I mean, they like to say we're all like conspiracy theories. That's ludicrous. Well, actually, no, it's not ludicrous. But the gaslighting and the way they heterodoxy, all the new words. I love this for us, chat. Carry on, sir.
35 fallacies in total. But before we do that, I want to talk a bit about why it's helpful to learn logical fallacies if you're trying to become a better thinker. When you're trying to learn a new skill, you want to find two different kinds of examples: positive examples and negative examples. The positive examples are going to be things that you emulate. The negative examples are going to be things that you avoid. By studying logic, you learn a lot about valid argument types, and validity is a very special logical term, which means that if the premises of an argument are true, the conclusion must be true. You want to learn what valid arguments look like and what they have in common so that you can try to make valid arguments.
Good point. It's important to not let emotions, excuse me, get in the way. And I think that quite often we feel, I mean, I'm going to speak for all of us here. I think we all feel very strongly about Karen Reid's innocence. Not just we feel, we know. But it's easy to get caught up in the emotions of the baiting that goes on the socials. And I mean, I think a lot for most of us, this is where we come up against many of these logical fallacies daily. But also, hi, Lynn. Hello, dear. I've been in and out of sorts this week. Lovely to see you on. Well, I'm glad to have you here. I'm happy to see you, and I hope you're feeling a bit better. Stick around. Plenty of replay crew out there of me at the moment. Yikes. We're on night 12 of 16. 13, 14, 15, 16. Yes, night 12 of 16 nights of Shorty. I think we're hitting that threshold. Someone suggested they thought it was 30 nights of Shorty, and I can guarantee you, y'all would have reached a threshold by about night number 14 at the most.
While you're learning about the positive examples that you want to emulate, you also want to learn about the negative examples that you want to avoid, and those are logical fallacies. And now that I'm thinking about becoming a better thinker, that reminds me of today's sponsor, Brilliant.
Brilliant. We'll skip through the sponsor because they're not our sponsor. Scott says, that's interesting. For more personally, I never worry about being popular at all. I speak my mind. If you disagree, oh well, we good, but you wrong. I'm pretty the same, Scott. I'm happy to be proven wrong with a sensible, rational, objective discourse. But I don't care. I just don't care if my opinion isn't or my beliefs aren't shared. Respecting others' opinions is definitely my jam. I don't love people trying to force their opinions down my throat, and agreeing to respectfully disagree on things is helpful. It's frustrating when people keep coming at you to try and change your mind on something when it's a non-negotiable. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm always willing to have a chat, and I love learning new stuff. I love learning new stuff because it means that I've learned something new. If I'm wrong and you show me that I'm wrong, bring it.
And these are essential for any kind of software development.
Oh my God.
If you LLMs were solving, that'll get /Jared true. Well, you've committed the appeal to tradition fallacy. Off an annual premium subscription. If you think because something is old or traditional, it's more likely to be true.
I know you were kidding.
Well, you've committed the appeal to tradition fallacy. Now, this is a really interesting case because you might have a view which says that traditional beliefs, whatever they are, they stick around because they are more likely to be true. And maybe you could make that kind of argument. But as a matter of logic, we know that some traditional beliefs end up being false. And interestingly, this is one of those fallacies that has an inverse, which I'm calling the appeal to novelty. Some people just like whatever the new belief is. And because it's the next new thing, they think it's true. Just like many.
Plevin, crusty panties. I mean, there's other things pouring into that very full cup of contrarianism. But I think the appeal to novelty could also be people who, like, for example, Plevin, who was obviously just going to be one of many in a big pond of Karen Reid is innocent. So for him to stand out, to go to the Karen Reid is guilty side, it's a much smaller pool, right? So that suits him well. I mean, you can't have much conviction if you're flip-flopping on something so very binary.
Old beliefs are false. Many new beliefs are also false. Closely related to the appeal to novelty is the appeal to progress. The appeal to progress basically says that we should try to believe whatever is going to be believed in the future. We're just thinking ahead and thinking progressively. The problem with the appeal to progress is that people in the future can get things wrong. If you're arguing against someone and saying that they're wrong because they're a hypocrite, well, that's the appeal to hypocrisy. So imagine that I said that lying is always wrong, but you can remember a time that I lied to you. Now, that doesn't prove what I said is false. All it does is prove that I haven't lived up to my own moral ideals. Just because I've committed a moral mistake of lying to you, doesn't mean that you should commit the logical mistake of appealing to hypocrisy. Some people...
That reminds me of those times, what are you barking at? There's no need to bark. Just eat your antler. When on the witness stand, and obviously there are The idea of impeaching for a witness, if you, for the jury, if you can impeach a witness or call their credibility into question on one or two or three, even small points, it's very natural then for the jury to go, I don't know if I can trust anything they say. And same can be said with, I mean, for me personally, there's people that I've, trusted as being knowledgeable or experienced or speaking truths, to suddenly think, oh, but that's not true. And wait, that isn't true either. So is anything they've ever said true? It calls those things into question.
People like to think that what is desirable must be true. But this is another fallacy. We call this the moralistic fallacy. And the inverse of that is that some people are just such pessimists that they think whatever is undesirable must be true. And I've been calling this the doomsayer fallacy. I think that's a pretty good name. Sometimes when there are two competing proposals, which both seem extreme, people like to argue that somehow the truth must be in the middle. But this is either called the appeal to moderation or the middle ground fallacy. Sometimes extreme proposals are correct. Sometimes moderate proposals are correct. But just because something is extreme or just because something is moderate does not really affect whether or not it's true. It affects whether it's popular, it affects whether it's feasible, but it doesn't affect whether or not it's true. And then a super common argument that you see is an appeal to ignorance, which says that if something hasn't been disproven, then we can assume that it's true. But there are many things which haven't been disproven that we don't have any good reason to believe in. Bertrand Russell gave the example of a teapot, which is orbiting the sun. Now, we have not disproven that such a teapot existed. We don't ever go bother looking for it because it's incredibly unlikely that such a thing exists. And just
Bertrand Russell is a very interesting philosopher. I've read some of his work. I'm really smart. I've read a lot of philosophy and stuff. Interesting.
Just because we haven't disproven it doesn't mean that it's true. Let's take a look at the genetic fallacy. This is a kind of fallacy that likes to trace beliefs back to their points of origin. If you can find that it has a good origin, you might conclude that the belief is therefore true. And if you find out that it has a bad or unsavory origin, then you find that it's actually false. But either way, the origins of beliefs have very little to do with whether or not they're true or false. If you dismiss someone's beliefs because of other people who hold those beliefs, that is a guilt by association. Many common fallacies rely on bad understandings of probabilities.
I think he's got, Holly, not necessarily a comb over, but it could be the beginnings of a comb over. I feel like he's got long hair, needs a haircut, sweeping it across, and it might be from those his teenage days of being a bit of an emo. I don't know. What do you think, chat? Could be the beginnings of a comb over. Maybe he's got thin hair on the top and he's just trying to, I don't know. We like him. We like him. I think he's cute and quirky. He loves me a good nerd. Love a nerd.
The gambler's fallacy says that the past occurrences of a random event somehow affect the probability of a future event. That's a little bit imprecise, but imagine that we had a coin and we were flipping it 100 times and it landed on heads 99 times in a row. When we flip the coin the 100th
See, when you come
time,
back, Debbie,
what is the probability
don't miss the next
of it
one.
being
Wait.
heads? It's still just 50%. Each time
Debbie, make sure if you can, try to be back for the next one starting at 8:30 Eastern. It's going to be a good one. This is a good one too, but I'm really looking forward to that next one. I might cry a lot.
toss is statistically independent. A lot of probabilistic reasoning relies on taking a finite set of examples and then generalizing to a larger case. And if you don't have a big enough sample size, or there's something wrong with that sample size, then you're committing a hasty generalization. If I go outside and I see that 2 dogs have white fur, and then I assume that every dog in my neighborhood must have white fur, that's a hasty generalization. The hot hands fallacy is when you assume someone who has had success in the past with a random event has a better chance of being successful in the future with those same random events. If they're truly random, past success is not a predictor of future success. So far, all of the fallacies we've talked about are informal logical fallacies. These are not strictly matters of logic, but they involve relying on bad principles of reasoning that we sort of take as axioms in our minds, and then we reason with those axioms even if we're not conscious and explicit about it. There are also formal fallacies. These have to do with the way that logical operators in our language work. Those operators are things like if, and, or, and not. We call those Boolean operators, by the way. Take, for example, this conditional. If it's raining outside, the sidewalk is wet. If I look out my window and see that the sidewalk is wet, and then I conclude that it's raining outside, that's called affirming the consequent. We could think of other reasons why my sidewalk would be wet, right? Like someone sprayed it with their garden hose. Think about that same conditional again. If it's raining outside, my sidewalk is wet. But then I know that it's not raining outside, so I conclude that my sidewalk isn't wet. That's a bad bit of reasoning too. We call it denying the antecedent. And a good counterexample is that same neighbor spraying my sidewalk again with his hose. If you assume whatever it is that you're trying to prove, so actually the conclusion is sort of in your premises already, we call that begging the question. An equivocation is when you use the same word with two different meanings in your argument. Like consider this argument. Every law requires a lawgiver. There are laws of nature. Therefore, there is a lawgiver of nature. Some people might find this an attractive argument for God, but the biggest problem that you face is that it's using the word law in two different senses. Legal laws are something that someone has to write down and state and enforce. Laws of nature are like patterns of regularity that we see in the observable universe. Those don't, by definition, require a cosmic lawgiver. When you're trying to argue against someone, it's really important that you accurately represent what they believe. And if you instead come up with a caricature of their beliefs, that's called a straw man. You are misrepresenting someone's beliefs or arguments in order to make them easier to attack. This is kind of like an equivocation, though. You're equivocating between the straw man version of their beliefs and the actual version of their beliefs. Another important fallacy is the no true Scotsman fallacy, which is a way to dismiss counterexamples which should disprove a universal generalization. Suppose that someone says that no Scotsman puts sugar on their porridge, and then a Scotsman comes and says, well, actually, I put sugar on my porridge. So then the first person replies, well, no true Scotsman puts sugar on their porridge. What should have been a counterexample to what they said before has instead become some sort of weird revision to their original definition, which just doesn't make any sense because the Scotsman is clearly a Scotsman and he's disproved what they said. An interesting fallacy whose nomenclature only really cropped up in the 21st century is the Mott and Bailey. This is when someone has two different positions, a radical position and a more easily defendable moderate position. And then they use those positions depending on who they're talking to. I don't like to talk about politics on this channel too much, but I think a great example of this came when people started to talk about defunding the police. So regardless of what you think of that policy, I think that we can all agree that something happened in the way we talked about that policy. At first, it was put forward as a really bold and radical position. And then when people faced criticism because it seemed too radical and maybe too extreme, they would say, oh, what I really meant was we should take a portion of police funding and channel it to mental health services. Those are just two different positions, and we need to be honest about which of the two we're actually defending. A slippery slope fallacy is when you think that a minor change is going to eventually lead to a larger and more major sort of revolution down the road. But importantly, for this to actually be a fallacy, you need to be lacking in evidence for thinking that further change will actually occur. Sometimes incremental changes do lead to larger changes, and it's right to consider those possible ramifications down the road. But what often happens is that we assume the slippery slope, then we argue against the major changes, and we act as if those are arguments against the minor changes. And that's just not a good way to argue. If you assume that because two events are often correlated, that one of them causes the other, then you have committed a particular kind of fallacy that we often just call correlation versus causation.
I love that everyone's so focused on not only the likes, but on hitting certain milestones in the likes and the chat. 69, everybody loves 69, Scott, of course. I mean, it's hard to do your best work with 69, but having said that, it's a very good number if you are basically mentally 12. And I think this chat has proven that on some level, at least, we are mentally 12.
Events are correlated, so they happen a lot regularly, but that doesn't mean that either one causes the other. Two fallacies that are helpful to keep in mind concerning the relationship between parts
Brit.
and wholes. One of
Mwah.
those is the fallacy of composition. This is the fallacy that says that a property that's had by all of the parts of something must be had by the thing that those parts make. But here's an example, and we can just talk about me. All the cells in my body are microscopic, but I'm not microscopic. The inverse of that fallacy is the fallacy of division, which says that whatever property an entire whole has, all of its parts have. And the final fallacy I want to talk about is the comparative fallacy. This is when you start with a comparative claim and then you infer an absolute claim. A Rolex is cheaper than a Patek Philippe, but that doesn't mean a Rolex is a cheap watch. It's absurdly expensive. I know that any video about logical fallacies is going to stir up some debate, and I know that I've left some fallacies off this list. So I would love to hear what you think down below. I hope you learned something, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sir, we learned very well. Thank you so much. So that video is in the description box. And his channel is called, if we want to subscribe, he's got a book, I see. Wait. Vapes, good for you. What's he called? Well, I'll subscribe. Of course. Dying. Let me go. I'm not going to join though. Come on now. That's just crazy talk. Here we go. Oh. Command C. Love it. Command V. Also love. That's his channel if you want to watch more. Okay. So, excellent. Excellent. Biosexual. Spanish CMI. Hi, good to see you. That's a new name. Vape lungs. I'll allow it. Man, you got to die of something, right? I want to hear what you think on my down below. Smarter Hari. Hi, good to see you. Preteens. We're all preteens, mentally. Jerry says, love the roller skates. Bring back some good memories. Same. All the good memories. All the good memories. So that, what do we got next? Let me see. Let me move this out of the way. Actually, nah. I'm going to X out of it because we don't need it now. I'm so good with my tabs. Oh, this guy. So there's a little bit of, okay. So here's some British accent for you. He's a very good looking young man. I'm intrigued to know whether he's just got boyish looks and is actually older than he looks, or whether he's a very, very intelligent young man. I can't remember how long this one is. Let me just check. What do I have to do here? Every logical fallacy. How many times can we say fallacy? Phallus. Different pH. 17 minutes. Okay, let's do it. Better hit the like. That would be rude if I didn't. He uses his hands a lot. He's very expressive with his hands. I'm not sure whether he uses his hands a lot in other forms of communication, but here in this video, he definitely does.
I love a good old-fashioned logical fallacy. I've made a bunch of them in my time, and I'm sure that I will make many, many more in the future. But I've noticed that we rarely start to ask what logical fallacies actually are, because they are not all created equal. And some so-called logical fallacies aren't actually logically problematic at all. YouTuber The Paint Explainer recently made a video where he went through every famous logical fallacy one by one. And this is not so much a response to that video, but rather a yes and. I want to explore what makes certain arguments logically fallacious by breaking them down into types, so that you can not only list off logical fallacies, but also explain exactly why they are bad arguments. Get ready to learn the 3 types of logical fallacy, why ad hominem attacks are sometimes a good thing, and how we might eventually move past the term fallacy altogether. But first, a disclaimer. I am not the final authority on this topic. This is just a sketch of a system that I'm hoping others can add to and tweak, and I fully encourage you to do so. I'm also not claiming that my categories are mutually exclusive or exhaustive. This is not so much a mathematical partitioning on a set of fallacies as it is a rough user's guide, one that I hope will shed some light into what makes a persuasive argument. And if you want to dive into some of the academic literature around this debate, I've linked an introductory article in the description.
I just would love for him to have some softness around his recording area so there's not so much echo and tinniness, maybe even one of these very professional microphones, sir. But we'll forgive him because he knows his shit and he looks not too bad either. Creepy, but true.
So let's delve into the wonderful world of logic and learn where we're all screwing
So
up.
am I, Holly. 49,
One,
yeah?
formal fallacies. For all the talk on the internet about destroying people with facts and logic, we don't often ask what logic is. This is probably because you'll get a very different answer depending on the person you're asking. During my undergrad and masters, I focused a lot on formal logic, which is a set of rules and symbols, which at the advanced level looks a bit like this. These are essentially mathematical languages with certain axioms, i.e. things that you take to be self-evidently true, and steps that take you from one statement to another statement that intuitively follows from it. So you might have the statement A implies B and the statement A, and use the logical rule modus ponens to infer that B must be true. In classical propositional logic, there are formal fallacies, which is basically when you just misuse a rule. For instance, if I had the statement A implies B, and I also had the statement not A, and I attempted to infer not B, this would be a formal logical fallacy, often called denying the antecedent. It could be that even though A is false, there is something else, say C, that implies B is true. A natural language example of this would be something like, 1. If my cat has eaten the biscuits, there will be crumbs on the floor. My cat has not eaten the biscuits. Conclusion, there will not be crumbs on the floor. Here,
There'll always
the
be crumbs on the
fallacy
floor.
is clear because we can imagine a situation where despite the cat not eating the biscuits, something else has left crumbs on the floor. Perhaps an evil demon scattered them, or an axe murderer broke in the house, intent on eating all of the biscuits. The point is, the attempted inference is a mistake of logical structure. In technical terms, we call arguments like this invalid. An argument is valid just if it is impossible for all of the premises to be true and the conclusion to still be false. So
Fair. Holly, you're really setting yourself up for confusion if you're drinking and trying to take all this in, because I'm sober as a judge and I'm like, our brains, we are growing our brains. Yes, we were guessing his age. Yes, so these are your guesses, Mike. Or Mike, are you 32? I think he's got a very boyish face and lots of brain capacity inside that brain head thing.
the previous argument was invalid because we can imagine premise 1 and premise 2 being true, but the conclusion being false because something else has got the crumbs on the floor. Thus, the argument is invalid. Technically, every formal logical fallacy is just an example of a non sequitur, which is a posh Latin way of saying it doesn't follow. You have.
Okay, Holly wants our ages. So everyone, if you want to type your age, and if you're 69, you win. But you have to be genuinely 69. I know Patricia Vincent isn't here, but she's 68. So Joseph, she's only got one more year to go till she's the best age ever.
Have a set of premises and a conclusion, and the conclusion simply does not follow from the premises. Bish bash bosh, as my uncle would say. And the fascinating thing is that whether you have a formal logical fallacy or not actually depends on which logical system you are using. Something that gets skimmed over in online discussions about logic is that there are many different logical systems, and each of them have their own axioms and their own rules. For instance, in classical propositional logic, we have the law of the excluded middle, which says that for every proposition A, either A is true or not A is true. This is a really intuitive rule. Either the table is blue or it's not blue, but it can't be neither blue nor not blue. But there's a set of logics called intuitionist logics which reject this rule. For an intuitionist, a proposition A might be false and a proposition not A might also be false. So whereas in classical logics, we can infer from not A that A is true, in intuition
He's giving me maths and words together. I'm like, maths, just give me the words. Spanish CMI, 67 and loving it. You know what? 2 more years till you're the best year ever. Lady V, 62, 75. Hi, JJJNA. Love this chat. Same. Geez, I'm so annoying. You really aren't. You really aren't. You're literally 6 days older than me. So wait, braining. Can my brain? So you're the end of June, right? I'm 4th of July. Soon we'll be 50, Kraken. Look at us fucking go. I love that for us. Can't wait. 50 is the new 30. Bring that shit on.
Evolutionistic logics, this would
Okay, next. Let's guess this boy's age. And Scott, I agree with you. I think of anybody, like when someone says they're 27, I'm like, oh, they're so young. It's a baby. Just a baby. I think that's just the way of aging, isn't it? Everybody seems so much younger when you're older.
would be
Oh, and conversely, when you're young, everyone seems so much older, and then you get to 40 or 50, and you're like, wait, I'm young though. What are you talking about?
a formal fallacy. That is all a bit abstract, but the important thing to take away is this. What is a formal logical fallacy depends on the logical system you are using. So the situation is much more complicated than just pointing at an argument and calling it a fallacy. If we were being truly precise, we'd say something like, that is a fallacy in classical propositional logic. This distinction rarely comes up in everyday life, just because most of us are using some form of classical logic. But I raise it here because it is the first example of what will become an important theme of the video, the context dependence of logic.
Chat, really, obviously we're a little bit, oh my God, he has got 480,000 subscribers. His name, I don't know what his name is. Wait, let me see. We just got to do some researching. Let's just take a sidetrack. Sidebar. I want to know what his name is. Anyone? Where's bloody Debbie Blair when you need her? She's had to step out for a minute. She'd love to dox him. She loves finding out the tea on people and then telling us. Not actually doxing. She's just not a doxer. That's a joke. It's a joke. Okay. Sorry. Carry on. So I'll drop his channel in the chat at the end. But the channel is called Unsolicited Advice. I think. Well, we're asking for your advice, sir. Let's go. Wait, what am I doing? Jesus.
Logical fallacies. But let's be honest, these formal issues
Thanks,
are
Larry.
rarely what people talk about online
Yes,
when they
Kraken.
say
Yes,
logical
it can.
fallacy. They normally mean things like an ad hominem attack or an appeal to authority. And it's much harder to give a formal treatment to fallacies like these, because often the issue in the argument is not one of logical structure, but rather that one or more of
Voir dire, so once you've finished your undergraduate degree, you can do your master's degree. So depending on how long your undergrad is, I would have thought 3, possibly 4 years for him. Just say he started his university time straight out of high school. Let's say he finished high school at a normal age, 17 or 18. He might have been done with his undergraduate degree by the time he was 20 or 21. He could easily be 23. He's very baby-faced, and if he's very intelligent, he doesn't need to have years under his belt to talk about the things that he's studied at uni for 4 years or 5 or 6 years. You'd want to hope. Like doctors get out of university, and well, in Australia, 5 or 6 years of university, then forever of years of registrar and all of that. So yeah, he could be 23 or 24. He's very young. He doesn't even got any hair on his face, for God's sake.
of the premises of the argument is obviously false. Luckily, that is
Found
just
him on
what
X.
we're going to look at next. If you want to help me make more videos like this, then consider
We might subscribe, babyface boy. Laurie says she found him on X. Okay, his name is Joe Foley. Okay, thanks. What else do we know? Yes, exactly, Scott. He could be younger. He might be 19 or 20. Some geniuses advance faster than what is a normal time frame. Yes, I was giving him the long end of the stick, of the stalk stick. Permission to dox. I mean, yes. I mean, we're not going to give his address out or anything because it's not any use to us. Because for starters, we're all at least twice as old as he is. And for seconds, he's in the UK, so only a handful of people could even do anything about it. And hi, Colours, good to see you. Got his 4-year degree in 2021. So, right. Look at us finding out the facts. Oh, yes, he can dox his Twitter address. Yes. Type it and then we'll you won't just type it minus the @ symbol, because the @ might mean that your comment doesn't come up. I don't know. But because YouTube's weird. Anyway, Colours, we're just trying to work out how old this young chap is. He's very knowledgeable. He's very dapper, and he's bamboozling us with word equations and stuff.
Consider subscribing to either my email list or my Patreon if you're feeling generous. The links are in the description. 2. Fallacies of content. Imagine that I'm having an argument with someone and they say, yeah, well, you're just a bad person, so you've got to be wrong. What
Okay, good thing here, Kraken. I'm actually, if only there was more nights left of 16 nights of Shorty, I might just have to do like 24-hour streaming for the next 4 days. You think it's 26 Colours? Yeah, people started with 26, 27, 30. We've drawn it back down to probably 24. Very young. Valerie's here. Good to see you. But Kraken, I would like to do a stream on the Myers-Briggs personality types thing. I'm going to do a little. I've been talking to a good friend of mine, Medieval. Colours is also a good friend of his, and he is the man for the knowledge. And I think a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know about the Myers-Briggs personality types. I'm an INFJ. If you know what you are in terms of your Myers-Briggs score or personality type, type it in the chat. If you don't know about it at all, hit me with a 1. Yes, Kraken, same. We're very similar, I think. Again, another public apology to Kraken for trigger happy hiding her for a stream that she would have been, as all of them, very knowledgeable and very helpful contributor. K-Fan, no idea? Yes. Scott, no. Jerry, no. No. So there's a lot of E's here. I'm an I. ENFJ. Ashley hasn't heard of it. Crystal hasn't heard of it. Prince Lover hasn't heard of it. INTP. So, of course, if you and I were this way inclined, we'd make a very good romantic couple. I mean, I don't bat for the same team, but Kirby just did hers. INTP, Charlie says. INTJ. Yes, we're going to do a stream on it. INTJ. Well, of course I know. Because I'm friends with Medi. Of course. We love Medi. Not sure. 1, not heard of it. Okay, interesting. Well, INTJ. Kirby just did hers then. Let me see. I'll drop a link in the chat right now. Give me un momento. And if you, we'll do a stream on it. Absolutely. I keep this link always on my, I hope I do. Fuck. Oh, wait. Walk and talk chat. Hang on, wait. Let me press this young man's video again. This young chap, young fellow, this lad, and I'll get this link for you.
Exactly is poor about this argument? It is clearly an ad hominem attack, but why is that bad? Well, I think it's because of an implicit assumption that is obviously false, that bad people are always wrong. To show this, let's put the argument in propositional form. Though it might seem strange to say, this argument is actually valid. If all its premises are true, its conclusion must also be true. If bad people are wrong about everything, then it makes sense that we would never listen to them, since whatever they say must be false. However, the first premise, if someone is a bad person and all their statements are false, is obviously not true. If Vlad the Impaler rose from the grave tomorrow...
So I'm an INFJ T, which means turbulent, which means I can get a little feisty, and I'm an advocate. That's the kind of person I am, an advocate, and they are very bang on. There's 16 different personality types in this Myers-Briggs scale, combinations of letters 4 and 4 make for 16. Is that right? No. Anyway, stuff, numbers and words. We'll do a stream on it. We'll do it before the 16 Nights of Shorty is over, because I think it's kind of fun and really interesting, and it can really help when you understand your own personality type based on this test, and helpful in work, helpful to know about other people and who's compatible, why certain people are like they are, and why sometimes we just never click. Anyway, back to fallacies.
And recreated Euclid's proof that there are infinitely many prime numbers, he would not be wrong. The truth of a proposition simply does not depend on who asserts it. In technical terms, the ad hominem argument is clearly unsound. That is, one or more of its premises are false. A huge swathe of informal fallacies.
Rach, you won't be able to drop a link. It won't work. It might not even show up in chat. But if you want to, in Discord, pop it in the Discord in general or off topic, I can grab it from there. Definitely. Enneagrams. I don't know much about enneagrams.
These are like this. For instance, if someone says, experts say this, so it must be true, that is an appeal to authority fallacy. And we can write it in propositional form as
Scott,
follows. The trouble is that the first premise is again false.
Scott, I just posted the link. I'm probably a bit far behind in chat to you've asked, and then I've dropped it. But yes, there is a link. It's in the chat. Go to the original Myers-Briggs ones. You can Google it, but there's some which are you have to pay for the results. The Myers-Briggs ones is it's the root. It's the OG.
We have definite counterexamples to it. At one point, almost every expert agreed that the sun went round the earth. So we cannot infer from an expert opinion that something is true. However, this is where it gets complicated, because expert opinion, and especially expert consensus, often does make something more believable. And we don't want to dismiss every...
Colors, I think analyst is, there's analysts and sentinels, and there's one other one. We need many right now. We always need many. But I think that each individual personality type has its own, like you're I'm the advocate, you're the debater, but then then there's groupings that are in that sentinel or in those clusters. Yeah, that's why.
Instance of this as irrational. For instance, if pretty much all biologists agree in the truth of evolution by natural selection, that does not by itself establish the theory as true. But all else being equal, it does lend credence to the idea. The
back door is open and the dogs are coming in and out as they please, which is a chilly breeze today here in Melbourne, even though it's summer, but that's Melbourne for you. And no, they just bark sometimes. There's other dogs around the place, maybe the cat from the back door cat, the backyard cat. The dogs run the show around here.
We are not experts in biology ourselves, and so are working with woefully incomplete information. Then it is arguably epistemically responsible to defer to authority here, unless we have access to some special information. So what makes this argument seem good when we've already established that an appeal to authority is definitely unsound? Well, if we look carefully, this argument has very different premises. The original argument has a first premise that is obviously false. Whether most experts agree on something has no bearing on whether it's true. However, the first premise of the other argument is much more defensible. If most experts agree on something and we have no reason to think they're being dishonest and we have no special information ourselves to refute their theory, then the expert consensus probably is the most plausible option, though of course it might turn out to be wrong. Importantly, the second argument is not about the truth.
Pausing for a minute. We hang on. Let's just talk about MTBI for a minute. Voidia says, years ago, a guy gave me a Simpson-themed Myers-Briggs test to test before a date. That sounds kind of like, on face value, it sounds kind of shady, but it actually would be a really helpful thing. When I was talking to Medi the other night, and I said, of course, you and I would be, as in, of course, the account. She and I, were we that way inclined, we would make a great coupling theoretically, because our personality types are very complementary and we want very similar things but have a few differences. So actually, like Kraken said, she used to, when she was a hiring manager, as a prerequisite for any interviews, give people the MTBI test. And that's when I first learned about it, when I was doing my Master of Business. And have since, I remain an INFJ. You can change over life. Your results can change. So it's helpful to do it again if you've done it a long time ago. So actually, if we could all go, you know what I'll be doing from now on? I'll be doing the Hare's psychopathic checklist and the MTBI test for any prospective men in my life from now on. Probably start with the Myers-Briggs one and then go to the psychopathic checklist. Not sure how well received it will be, but one is once bit, twice shy.
Truth or falsity of a proposition, but is instead couched in the epistemic perspective of an agent. That is, it is about plausibility, not truth. You might still disagree with the first premise, but it is not obviously
Pokemomo,
false in
hi.
the same way that the standard appeal to authority fallacy is. We could say the same about some ad hominem arguments.
Scott, none of the personalities are bad. Everybody has their own. There are some which are like Mehdi has some disdain for some of the personality types, and he's 4 or 5 years into absolute hyper focus special interest Myers-Briggs. Honestly, he's amazing. I'll see if I can get him to come on as a guest with me. Maybe not for the first one. We'll do it for the second one about the Myers-Briggs stuff, just because we'll need to get some foundational stuff, because Mehdi goes on many, I know so much and he does know so much tangents. You need to have some understanding of the whole thing. But no, there's no bad personality types, but some certain and I don't know enough about the others, only about myself. Certain personality types are more oh, I mean, just like it's mostly, humans. There's some people that we don't get along with for whatever reason, that don't have our same kind of, I don't know, shared interests or shared beliefs, shared, things that just make us tick. And actually, we're doing love languages tomorrow night, which is sort of adjacent to that. Helpful to know. It's helpful to know about other people and yourself, so we can work out best how to get along with people or avoid or whatever. Hi, Gingy. I had taken a Myers-Briggs at my workplace to find out what I was. Yes, it's helpful. It's really helpful. I'll take the test after I play taxi. ISTP can't be bad. No. There's no bad personalities. There's no bad personalities. So that, and apparently a Joe on the screen right now. Well, not right now, but the delightful young chap. Laurie is doing a full stalk. Okay. Lovely young Joe's Facebook account does have quite a few charming photos of him with a dog. I mean, his subscriber numbers can't only be because of his learned insights, right? He's not hard on the eyes.
To return to my moralizing interlocutor, while their argument that my point is wrong because I'm a bad person is obviously unsound, they might have a much more defensible alternative argument. Again, whereas the first argument has premises that are obviously wrong, indisputably incorrect, the second has premises that are certainly worthy of challenge, but are much more defensible. We can't simply wave the fallacy banner and dismiss it out of hand. We would have to get into the weeds of the argument and say why we disagree with the premises. You might say that bad people are no more likely to lie than good people. Or if you're German, you might want to move past the notions of good and evil entirely. The fallacy contains an obviously false premise, whereas the contestable argument contains premises which we may want to challenge, but are not so clearly untrue. So again, we see the importance of context. Not every time someone references another person's character is an ad hominem fallacy, and not all appeals to authority are the same. If I go through all of the content-based fallacies individually, we will be here all day. But you get the idea. We have to be careful when we're banding round.
Paul, sorry, we're still on the Myers-Briggs stuff. How with these tests? Hi, by the way, hi in Perth. With these tests, how much is it what I aspire to be rather than what I actually am? It's very much the way the testing, the questionnaire is structured. It's very much what you already are. Are you more likely to do this, this, or this? Is this important to you, or is this important to you? So it's what you are. Yes, you enter you don't ponder on it too long. Try to just go with the first one that grabs you. So now you can Google what's an ENTP, Christine, and it will chat, stay on topic. But no, you can Google it. I belong to a couple of INFJ groups on Facebook, and it's just bang on. It's bang on for me. I'm such an INFJ. Hi, Kings. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Happy New Year to you. So Wadir went on the date. I must have passed his test. He was a major creep. I mean, yuck. Just even dating. No, thank you.
Found the names of fallacies as if they are magic spells, because it is very easy to mistake an argument that we might disagree with, but is nonetheless worthy of engagement, with an outright fallacy. But there are still a huge number of things that we call logical fallacies that aren't covered by either of these labels. Things like the burden of proof fallacy or the no true Scotsman don't seem to fit into either camp. And this is where I want to make a really controversial claim, that these are not properly logical fallacies at all, but are instead more akin to being rude. That is, they are not logical errors, but instead simply render a conversation unproductive. 3. Bad manners fallacies. Imagine that you and I are having a debate. You then, quite reasonably, point to counterexamples of philosophers that do seem to fear their demise. But then I say, aha, that's where you're wrong. If these were true philosophers, they would not fear death. Thus, if they do fear death, they can't be true philosophers. This is a classic example of the no true Scotsman fallacy. I am using an esoteric definition to exclude all counterexamples to my argument. The tricky thing is, there is nothing logically wrong with this. There is no logical rule that says that definitions can't be convoluted or...
So chat, I'm just going to grab this link for Enneagrams. If you want to take an Enneagram test while we're working out who we are, which is all about this whole new year, who me, who this vibe we've got going on at the moment, learning about ourselves and other people so that we can better navigate through life with the tools. Yes. But I'll press play on young Joe. Laurie's still doing a really in-depth stalk of him, and I love that for Laurie.
Bizarre. If I like, I can define an apple as an electronic device that plugs into the back of your brain, and no logician will jump out of a bush to reprimand me. In the example about philosophers and fearing death, all that can be said from a logical perspective is that you and I have different definitions of philosophers, and so we are just talking past one another. This is not a logical fallacy at all. It is more akin to bad manners on my part. By having such a strange definition of philosopher, I am making the argument irrelevant to almost everyone else on earth and transforming the discussion into something entirely unproductive. But importantly, I have not made a logical error. The issue is instead pragmatic or philosophical. Another good example of this is the burden of proof fallacy. Say we are having an argument about whether dragons are real. And after you point out that there is practically no evidence for their existence, I say, but there's no evidence that they don't exist. Pretty much every...
Debbie, you're back. Lovely to see you. We had to defer to Laurie to get some stalking done on this young fellow, Joe Foley. But it's okay. You have a fellow. I need to find out about this person, shorty amongst us. So Nick's here also. Holy moly. I had just walked into a lecture in advanced debating at Cambridge University. My head hurts. Did your head hurt because of New Year's Day, Eve? What day is it? Oh, if your head's still hurting from New Year's, Nick, what's going on? Hi. Yes, we are up there with the esoterics right now. And we're finding ourselves somewhat sidetracked with other talk about Myers-Briggs personality tests and enneagrams. But it's the whole vibe, as Joseph said. It's a who dat vibe. Who dat? We be braining and growing our brains and learning about the peoples and the human condition and stuff.
Everyone would say that I am unfairly shifting the burden of proof here. If I'm making a positive claim about the world, it is on me to prove it, not on everyone else to disprove it. But this is not a law of a formal logical system. It is a rule of argumentation we defend for very understandable, pragmatic, and philosophical reasons. If we didn't have it, then people would be able to assert all sorts of poorly supported claims, and it would be on us to refute them. It flies in the face of our implicit rules of discussion, but these fall outside the realm of logic. And there is a whole host of fallacies that fall into this camp. In other words, what makes a good or bad argument is not purely a matter of logic, but involves other factors. And there are a whole host of fallacies that fall into this camp. The straw man is another good example, where you exaggerate someone else's position and attack that instead of addressing what they've actually said. There is no law of logic that says that I can't straw man someone else's arguments, but in doing so, I make the discussion unproductive. So it is bad manners. The reason I bring all this up is to make a more general point about argumentation. Logic itself cannot rule out all of the arguments that we would consider bad. This is because an argument can be both perfectly sound and perfectly valid, but still be considered bad. Straw manning is actually an excellent example of this. Say you are having your third immensely tiring discussion with me, and you put forward the quite reasonable proposition that mammals usually birth live young. But
I wish that he was giving us troll examples, but we can draw the same conclusions, that we could have these endless cyclic discussions or interactions with the anti-Karen Reid trolls on the Twitters, or if they ever come into our chats, and it's like, ugh.
Because I'm a bastard.
But also mammals.
Ha! What about the platypus? That's a mammal, and yet it lays eggs. In propositional form, my argument would be this. This argument is actually both sound and valid, but it just does not disprove what you said, which is that mammals usually birth live young. So here we have an argument with no logical mistakes, but is nonetheless intuitively bad because of the context in which it's spoken. It is worth noting that when we leave the context of truth-seeking discussions, straw manning is no longer generally considered bad manners. You can go to any internet echo chamber to see this for yourself. So some so-called logical fallacies aren't to do with logic at all, but instead fall afoul of a convention of argument. So again, it is counterproductive to just throw fallacy at people as if it is a magic word that automatically banishes their argument to the shadow realm. It is useful to understand when people are straw manning your argument, but understanding what makes this bad manners helps clarify what we could do next.
Diane.
Provided your interlocutor is arguing it in good faith, the next step is to clarify your position in case they've missed.
So chat, my brain, I love him. We love Joe, Stan Joe. He's very smart, but I'm mindful of time. There's about 5 or 6 minutes left of this video. One's in the chat. If you would like me to move on to our good friend, Dr. Ramani, who's going to talk about 14 minutes long or so. Actually, no, wait, forget I said any of that. Well, she's only 14 minutes long. Well, she isn't, but that video is. So carry on as you were.
True Scotsman fallacies are often better treated as disputes over definitions, with the next step being to clarify the key terms of the debate so the discussion can continue. If there is an implicit dispute over who has the burden of proof,
if you want to
then
vote,
it calls for a prior philosophical discussion on this
Kraken
very
says
topic.
one.
Of course, you might understandably ask, what should I do against bad faith arguments? And I have no answer to this. If anyone else does, then please let me know. But I think that for a productive discussion, it takes two to tango. And if one party is genuinely not interested in understanding their opponent's position, then there's just not much that can be done. So that is my rough typology of logical fallacies. It will certainly need many amendments and refinements and additions. But I hope that it has clarified some of the different ways in which an argument can fall short of cogency. And do let me know which fallacies you think slot into which boxes in the comments. But lastly, I want to discuss how we can move past this talk of logic.
Sorry, chat. Laurie, I presume that maybe you're happy for him to slot into some of your boxes, or no?
Fallacies altogether and reach a deeper level of logical understanding. And surprisingly, it may be easier than you think. 4. A naively optimistic vision. As I said at the start of the video, I spent a huge portion of my university career looking at different formal logics. I looked at classical mathematical logic, epistemic logic, paraconsistent logic, and fuzzy logic. And it might shock you to learn that very rarely did the topic of individual fallacies come up. For that,
what? I got all of those words kind of, but I definitely got fuzzy logic. Got it. Gotcha. That's my level.
matter. Named fallacies don't often get mentioned that much in analytic philosophy papers either, at least in my limited experience. And I think the reason for this is that the writers of these papers are normally very familiar with putting things in propositional form, or just in symbol.
I can't help it. At heart, I'm a pervy 12-year-old. I just say some stuff. And also, Amy, what flavor Jolly Rancher? Watermelon?
in the case of technical papers. A number of times in this video, I have split an argument into premises and a conclusion that is purported to follow from those premises. The interesting thing is, once an argument is put forward like this, it is often much easier to tell if it is valid or invalid, and to see the premises we might want to challenge. And this gives us a hint as to how we might make our discussions calmer, clearer, and more productive. Say, for instance, I was making a moral argument in favor of euthanasia, and you disagreed with me. I might put forward the following argument. Then, if you disagreed, you could call into question the first premise or the second. You could say that there are some limits on what we have the right to do to ourselves, or that actually my death would directly harm others. The point is, the need to go fallacy hunting has completely dissolved. We can instead get much more specific. We can point to particular premises and say exactly what we find objectionable about them. And if we suspect an argument is invalid, we can come up with counterexamples. You could also see if I'm challenging a position that you don't actually hold, or if we have any disagreements over definitions.
Chad, I can't. So in the context of slotting something into your box, Laurie Marie, and then also the so many big words from Debbie, and then Laurie saying, I swoon over big words. I'm just going to call back to that story I told you about a guy that I used to know. And if you haven't heard this story, you're welcome. If you have, again, you're welcome. It's fucking hilarious. He was just a situationship kind of a guy, not even. And he had tattoos like me, tattoos. And then on his dick, he had the word words. So putting words in your mouth. Love. Anytime I see the word words, or when anyone ever says you're putting words in my mouth, I'm like, so funny.
If you will indulge me in some naive utopian thinking, can you imagine what the world would look like if putting things in propositional form was commonplace? We would understand one another so much better. We would have a much more precise idea of how our own arguments functioned and why people disagree with us. I'm not suggesting that this is the cure to all of our discursive ills, but it undeniably would make things easier to navigate. Of course, not every argument is neat and deductive. We need to become somewhat familiar with things like inductive logics or probabilistic logics. But the thing is, you can learn to put almost any argument in propositional form with only a few hours practice. And that skill will undoubtedly help you analyze discussions much more easily. Logical fallacies are fantastic tools, but the difference between memorizing a few fallacies and learning logic from the ground up is like the difference between memorizing a few sentences of Spanish and slowly learning how to speak it fluently. So that is...
Boom. That's it. I'm calling it. Joe, love your work. Love your work. Put all the words in my mouth, but, and my brain. We're done here. See you, Joe. Mwah. Next. Chat, you all right? INFP, Pokemomo. Well, also, Pokemomo, Shelley, you and I would make a beautiful couple then, were we that way inclined, because we are complementary. I can't imagine getting a tattoo on my cock. Well, apparently his tattooist wouldn't do it. But it was such big words, Shorty. Loves me some big words. Apparently the tattooist wouldn't do it for him. So he said, give me the tattoo gun. And he like pulled his stick out, did one little dot to see if it hurt. Didn't hurt that much. And so he just did like it was very prison tattoo, but yeah. A buddy of mine had a heart on his. He wanted to make his heart swell. I love that. Bye, Joe. Amy was pierced everywhere for years. Yikes. Gives a whole new meaning to choking on your words. Absolutely, Ashley. Comes in with a zinger. My enema. Enneagram, or whatever it's called, is called the helper. Yes, I'm going to do my enema after. No, I'm going to do the Enneagram test after this. Okay, so Dr. Ramani, because I want to finish this up in time that we can be ready, prepared for the next stream, which is Karma, the Unraveling. Wow, it's so inspirational. This video that I found that my beautiful friend Medi sent to me, among others, it's all about karma and the universe, and be ready to be inspired and just that. But Dr. Ramani, we love. K-Fan, which one? For the Enneagram? No, I put two tests in the chat. I put the Myers-Briggs one and I put the Enneagram test. I'm yet to do the Enneagram. Prince Albert was something I wasn't expecting once. Paul says, I have the name of my ex, mine, Wendy, on mine. I saw someone else who knew her too. I mean, tattoos aren't for the faint-hearted. On your dick, I can imagine. Very not faint-hearted. It depends if you're the sensitive type, right? Lol. Last one, Dr. Ramani. So Dr. Ramani is talking about narcissists and the sunken cost fallacy. So if you've put so much time into a relationship, and you can put this, you can use these examples that it's a relationship thing, but you could talk about it in terms of a job or a friendship or anything. So it's about relationships, but it doesn't have to be. 15 minutes. Oh, can I do it? Yes. Dr. Ramani, love Dr. Ramani.
Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Ramani. Welcome
Hi.
to this YouTube channel about narcissism and narcissistic relationships. So let me just open with this. You know how many people, stay in narcissistic relationships because you think, damn it, I've already put 15 years or 5 years or 10 years or however much time you've put into this relationship. I've put my youth into this relationship. I've put the best
Hi,
of
Mystic
myself
Mama.
into this relationship. I moved across the country for this relationship. And as a result of that, no matter how toxic it is, you stay. But that doesn't really make sense, does it? You can't get the 5 or the 10 or the 15 years back by staying, but yet you stay for that reason. Here's another example. Different kind of example. You prepaid a non-refundable few $100s for a hotel room for a weekend break. Ahead of that, you are having the week from hell, and then you get sick. The weather shifts, and what should have been a sunny weekend is now going to be rainy and not the best getaway. The pressures at work and home have really started making you sicker, and a weekend in bed at home would do wonders for you, especially since you'll have another tough week the week after. You really don't want to go away and drive 3 hours to sit in the rain. The drive will be exhausting, but you still go. Why? The same reason folks stay in narcissistic relationships, even when they know they're toxic. It's partly because of something called the sunk cost fallacy, which may be at play here. Once we invest in something, time, money, we often just go along with it, even when it is no longer a good thing to do. Sunk costs are resources we cannot get back. The hotel room, for example, was non-refundable. But this can apply to anything where we can't get what we put in back. So going on that ill-timed trip or doing something that is not a good use of our time will not get that time and money back. However, it is possible that it may result in us getting sicker, not having a good time, wasting more time, or wasting even more money eating out and on various activities on a trip that is actually not good for us, but you're doing so you don't lose the couple $100. But let me repeat, you cannot get the money back whether you go or not. At the time you made the call to go on the trip, it seemed like a good idea. Now it's not. You not going doesn't get the money back.
Thank you,
right?
Taryn.
But the fact is, we don't like losing stuff. That's something called loss aversion. It just feels awful. So we may make further bad decisions to avoid that discomfort around losing money or time. So we may do something even when it's not good for us to avoid that sense of loss. So this idea of bad decision making because of things like sunk cost fallacies and loss aversion, they all derive from the world of behavioral economics. Now, alas, we are not computers. We are people who have emotions, and emotions really tinge our decision making. We rationally know that skipping out on the rainy, time-consuming, exhausting weekend is probably the best course of action. But then we also have to sit with the discomfort of wasting the money. There is a cognitive dissonance element here. We're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. And for many people, getting what they paid for seems like it would smooth things out, even though it ends up becoming a bad way to spend time and you were going to lose the money either way. Economic theory, which is supposed to be more devoid of messy emotion, would have it that we should be using future gains and losses to guide our decisions and not the money that we've already sunk in. If we can do that, we may be less likely to make bad choices. But the fact is, it's not so easy to do. Turns out that negative emotions like anxiety also don't help And in one study by Dijkstra and colleagues, they found that those negative emotions were sort of associated with kind of getting stuck and not taking action and getting stuck in the sunk cost, basically continuing to stay in the bad investment, going on the rainy weekend, staying in the toxic relationship. So what does this have to do with narcissistic relationships? Kind of everything. So you're in a narcissistic relationship, right? Let's use a romantic one as an example. You met someone charming, fun, attractive, charismatic, successful. You have fun. You really are growing to like them and them you, and you want to finally really settle into a committed relationship. They want to move in, so you do. You're
We love
hoping to
you,
get
Scott.
married. It's been 3 years. They aren't really moving in that direction. You want a family too. You're committed to each other, but no, they're not interested in that. And on top of that, they're really dismissive, manipulative, gaslighty, unkind, critical, and angry. They keep putting you off, saying, oh, we'll get to it. We're good now. It's 3 years. You can't get the 3 years back. So you stay in. And you keep staying in. And they keep moving the goalposts. Yeah, we'll do that down the line. I'm too busy right now. I need more stability. I need to get promoted. Like, why are you rushing me? On and on. Another year goes by. 4 years in. 4 years. I can't walk away. Start again. 4 years. Can't get the 4 years back. 5 years. Still don't have kids. Shit, you want kids. Okay, maybe we won't get married. We'll have kids. That's not how you pictured it. Nah, I don't think they want to have kids. 6 years. The loss aversion in many narcissistic relationships is around time. There are other researchers in the past, like Rustbolt, who called this the investment model of relationships. But it's a bad investment, just like that weekend away, or a bad business investment, or a project that is running into cost overruns and will never give return on investment. Maybe $50 million has already been sunk into it, and so people just keep throwing more money into it. Emotion takes over. I can't get those 6 years back. I am going to effing make this work. You
Effing.
stay. And maybe with enough time, you end up getting married or having those children.
Same, Amy.
Now,
Same.
you're in a relationship, a toxic relationship with someone, and you got kids. Was it a great investment? Were the 6 years wasted or not? It's challenging. Now, most narcissistic relationships of choice, for example, intimate relationships, friendships, workplace relationships, are driven by the sunk cost fallacy, wanting to not walk away from all that time and resource, which is why I am such a big fan of people getting out early when the red flags begin to show up. There's fewer sunk costs at that moment. It all relates to cognitive dissonance, of course, but also that loss aversion. Then you have the confusion of not knowing what this is. Charm and charisma feel so good, so you want.
Chat. Am I muted? No. Just to make sure that everybody is basically understanding what cognitive dissonance is. It's where what you thought you knew or you feel like you know about a person or a situation or that the truth is different, and trying to reconcile that it's a conflicting thing where it sort of your brain can't come to terms with the fact that ostensibly what you believed about something or someone is not true, and so that conflict, that inner conflict in your brain, is cognitive dissonance. That's the long and tall of it, in case you weren't aware.
This to work. They are attractive, so you want this to work. You want a fun sidekick friend who's just so cool to spend time with. You want this to work. You always wanted to work for this great company, so you want this to work. The idea of walking away after the time and sometimes the money, well, at that point, that's what messes up the decision making. Behavioral economists would say that the future gains and losses, they do need to guide us if we're going to do this decision making right. Now, looking realistically at the long game, not only is that really hard to do when emotion is involved, and that right there is why this YouTube channel exists. Because when it comes to narcissistic relationships, the long game is bad. Putting more and more resources into a narcissistic relationship is like betting on an investment on VCRs making a comeback. Not a good place to park your money. And in a way, there is so much less ambiguity in a narcissistic relationship because they're always going to be unhealthy. Even if the early period was fun, the love bombing period.
If you're coming in late, hi, welcome. Thanks, lovely Beth, for sharing that you're an INFJT. Same girl. Lulu Bell says she's late also. That's okay. Go back and watch the replay. There's some whole lot of interesting stuff. We've watched a lot of videos. They're linked in the description box if you'd like to go back and watch them again, if it was a little bit hard to concentrate with the chat flying and our meandering of our topic reminders. And we're just about to wrap this one up in the next 10 minutes or so. And Taryn's already set up a portal to the next stream, which is Karma, the Unraveling. Going to be amazing. But go back and watch the replay and pop live chat on if you like, by just swiping left on the description on the comments tab in the video, and that'll get you the live chat replay.
Period of the relationship was also unhealthy. So you got to make your investment decisions accordingly. So even if you invested heavily in that VCR company, it may have seemed like a good idea at the time in the 1980s. It's not anymore. You can't get the other money back. Spending more money doesn't really make sense. The narcissistic relationship seemed like a good idea during the love bombing phase. Now that you are in devalue and discard,
yes, Beth,
not so much. And you can't get the time back by throwing more time at it. The future
Preach,
will
Dr.
always
Ramani.
be more of the same in narcissistic relationships. Another interesting bit of guidance we get from behavioral economics is to break this all down, this decision making, into phases. And I like this because it's a place for you to almost become more self-forgiving in your decision making in this kind of a relationship. The sunk cost fallacy is us not accounting for the idea that we cannot get the money or time back. So putting more money and time into it, while it may feel comforting, it doesn't make sense. Like I said, even though it's uncomfortable to let that original investment go. But when we break it into phases, we can assess whether the investment makes sense at each phase. So when we apply this thinking to a narcissistic relationship,
I'm muted. I did that to clear my throat, and then I didn't do that very well in a good order. So this.
You are unmuted.
Thank you so much, Val, for your super sticker, $9.99 super sticker. Yay, thank you. Always love to have you here, Val. Always comments on my videos. Thank you. Love that you're here. Chat is Bay, and also replay crew. We love you. Lurkers, hi. Feel free to subscribe and jump in the chat. It's always a good conversation here. And Valerie, this.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
It can look like this. Love bombing phase? Seems like a great idea. Putting the time in, putting the investment in, you're loving the ride, you get swept away. It makes sense you would invest time into it then. Even though my hope for the world is that everyone will eventually see love bombing as bad, which I know is a tough sell.
Wait, Scott, my ideal woman is one that doesn't exist. Lol. They are never perfect enough. I am type 1. Lol. Scott, don't you have a woman? Oof, I hope she's not watching this. Hi, Mrs. Scott. Yikes.
So even then, during love bombing, I'd still love to see people sort of hedge their investments. Now you move into the red flags and devaluing phase of the relationship. At this point, you're still investing on the basis of the love bombing phase, right? But some of the blush is off the rose. So this may be when you should start pulling back on the investment a little. But sadly, and this is where it gets interesting, this is exactly when people start doubling the time and investment they make in a narcissistic relationship, because a narcissistic person is starting to pull back. In the discard and the future faking and manipulation phase, at this point is really when the sunk cost fallacy really gets us. Because on the basis of what is happening in front of you, this is a good time to say, no thanks. Yes, you did put in the time. Can't get the time back. At this phase, it is no longer a good investment. This right here is the money shot. No pun intended. This is no longer a good play in terms of an investment. As Dykman's research suggests, negative emotions make sunk costs worse. We are often less likely to take action when we feel negative emotions such as anxiety. And unfortunately, that is a key part of the fallout of narcissistic abuse. When we are in the sadness and confusion and anxiety that come from narcissistic abuse, we aren't good at thinking clearly and rationally about how to invest our time, which is precisely when we will keep throwing the good money after bad, as it were. I think one place where behavioral economics research hasn't, I think, sufficiently shown a light is on the fear of regret. Maybe they just put that in with the negative emotions. Fear of regret is an emotion that really muddies the waters for survivors of narcissistic abuse. It still relates to the sunk cost, because not only is there the sense of wasting more time and resource you can't get back, there's also the fear of regret in these narcissistic relationships, that if you don't keep trying, what if you're wrong? What if you walk away from something that actually was good? You're not.
Fuck. You are muted. Chat. Drop it in the chat. Members, drop me a you are muted in the chat.
You are unmuted.
Remember when Dr. Ramani was talking on one of our narcissist streams earlier this week, last year even, and she was talking about the Pollyanna people who only want to see the good in others? It's possible to be a Pollyanna to yourself, to say, no, it's going to work out, kind of gaslighting yourself. And that's what Dr. Ramani is kind of talking about here. God damn it. Thank you. Muted. Yes. Jim, you could have used the you are muted emote like Joseph did, like Mike did, like Amy did. Oh, you're very welcome. Free Scholar Family Tree. My pleasure. We're doing a whole series on, I've changed it. It was the playlist was called Narcissists. No, let's talk narcissists, flying monkeys, and assholes. But I've changed it to Psychology Corner. So it's an a more overarching and all-encompassing umbrella playlist of any of this stuff, because it's not true crime. It's not only narcissists. We got some philosophy. We got some important stuff. We got some Joe Foley. We got Comb Over Guy. It's all happening. Dr. Ramani.
You probably aren't wrong. Again, doesn't mean you have to leave. I'm never going to pressure anyone to leave, but probably it's time to stop bringing your A game to the narcissistic relationship. Pulling back resource means giving the best of yourself to yourself, or to worthy and reciprocal recipients, and not to the narcissist. It means saying, ugh, I will swallow the $200 on the lost hotel room, and then recognizing how good you will feel.
Hi, Megan.
After a few days of rest. Maybe the resolution of the sunk cost fallacy is radical acceptance. You can't get it back. That's that. And you can still win, though, by not wasting more money, time, or resources.
Boom, Dr. Ramani.
The sunk cost fallacy is a simple sort of a model that cuts to the chase on many of the struggles of people who waste a lot of time in narcissistic relationships. You can't get the time back, but maybe you learn something. And to me, that is a return on investment.
Absolutely. The cost of continuing to persist in anything, whether it's the financial cost or time, emotional energy. If you cut your losses, you don't spend any more on it, right? Sometimes you just got to cut your losses in a situation, in a business arrangement, in an investment of time or money. And Dr. Ramani, always wise, always. So radical acceptance is so important. Boom. Exactly. So all of the videos we've watched tonight are in the description box of this live stream. If you'd like to go back and watch like Joe Foley till your heart's content, or Mr. Combover, or you want to get more familiar with all those 30,000 logical fallacies. So have we learnt some stuff tonight, chat? Have we? I have. They always come back. They're like zombie narcissists, right, Amy? You gotta put your arm out and hold it out and say, nope. Straight-laced Queen says, I told my mum to watch YouTube narcissist videos. She said she's watched enough and doesn't want to attract negativity. negativity. Oops. Wants to look forward and stay positive. So my question is, what fa? I think that she's a Pollyanna type, your mother. She just doesn't want to know about it. La, 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 la. Amy. Oh, 4 months of loving on you. Have you seen the 6-month badge for members? It says OG. It's pretty cool. Another couple of months. I think we're coming into the 5th month of memberships. It was August, September, October, November, December. Yeah. So another couple of months before anybody gets to 6 months. But yes. But yay! The amount of throat clearing I'm doing over here with no fucking cheese even in my system is wild. Can narcissistic people be dangerous? Absolutely. Even if it's just to your mental and emotional well-being, your enjoyment of life, but also all psychopaths are narcissists. And I think we can all agree that psychopaths are always dangerous, whether that's physically dangerous or socially dangerous or mentally, emotionally. They can wreak havoc. Not all narcissists are psychopaths, but all psychopaths are narcissists. Yes. Joseph says, officers, Queen, may I suggest joining Discord? It's a great suggestion. Our Discord server is a place where, so I think I need to clarify because I think it was Piney. She's now called different account, a technical on here, technical out maybe. Piney was thinking that it was like a continued live chat like this. So the Discord is depending on how many people are online, it can be very live chat like, but mostly it's a space where we can chat offline, like in a chat room, but more like commenting back and forward. And it's lots of channels, okay, rewind. Big filing cabinet. Thanks, Joseph. Love you. Big filing cabinet. That's my server, the filing cabinet. In that filing cabinet, there are drawers, which are each of the categories, and each of the categories, there are a whole bunch of hashtags or topics or files. So you can, there's a general one and an off-topic one, but then there's very specific ones. Like we have a cheese channel. Like there's a whole bunch of ones for Karen Reid and Officer John O'Keefe. There's fun shit, wild shit, We Demand Justice. Lots of channels. It's a whole vibe. It's so fun. So it's a really good community. You're welcome, Catherine. Always. Joseph flicking out he must have got his wallet out. Did you go to the ATM, Joseph, and get some more dollar bills? Love you. $5 bills. Love you. Welcome, new shorties. Yes, K-Fan, that's a really good segue into the next live stream. Taryn has set up a portal. We'll go another couple of minutes here chatting on this one, and then we'll head over there. I'd love for you all to join. A different vibe, really, really kind of and inspiring. It's really good. I cried a lot when I watched this video for the first time. Like good cry. I'll cry again. Now, Karakin says, we all have narcissistic traits. Yes, it's what we rein in or is overshadowed by other traits. It's the leading with narcissistic types that we should run from. Absolutely. Hi, Kimberly. Good to see you. You're coming in at the end of the stream, but we're about to redirect or portal to the next stream because it's a different topic, so I needed to make them separate. People who are extreme empaths, hi, it's me, tend to be a magnet for narcissistic types, those with narcissistic tendencies or full-blown narcissists. It's that light and dark of the universe, that opposing stuff. Narcissists are drawn to the light of the empath to both suck up, like energy vampire, the shit out of it, and also to dim that light, to destroy it, because it makes them feel better, ultimately, in a nutshell. Joseph again, thank you, love. And welcome to new members, not necessarily people who are in the chat, which is always disappointing to me. But anyway, thank you for your support, Joseph. Debbie says narcissists really do a number on their victims' mental health. Yes, amen. Empathetic empath here. Yes, I'm an intuitive empath and a flora and fauna empath. Wondering what that means? Well, I can communicate, and now you're going to think she is fucking crazy. I communicate with plants, so flora, and animals, fauna. True. Rach said, just put a basic Enneagram YouTube link in your Discord. Watched it on 2x just now. We will 1,000,000,000% do an Enneagram stream. It might be back when we're into regular weekly camp shorty because, time. I've been on holidays for almost 2 weeks. Holidays. We've been in 16 nights of shorty for almost 2 weeks. And I'm running out of time, hence the double streams, just to try and pack in everything I need to say. It's like, oh my God, I want to go back to peasant work shit. I love my job, but I love this more. I love you all more. I don't want to go back and stand up all day long in the hot summer in full length PPE. And anyway, that makes sense. I love when I occasionally make sense. Oh, Loudflower. Amazing. I don't think Loudflower is here, but yay. Thank you. Can you tell my tomatoes not to die next spring? I can. They might tell me the reasons why they're dying on you, though, Jim. And are you ready for that information? Everyone loves cocks. Facts. I do tarot. Amy, let's do a tarot thing. Catherine, I'm so sorry. I feel like you've got some people in your life who are not the best people, and they just, whether they're not the right match for you or the right fit, whether they're straight up fuckheads. And I don't know how easily or readily you can extricate yourself from those relationships, but we're here. And so long as we're here, we will always hopefully make you feel seen and loved and not abused, supported. So what test is flora and fauna? I imagine that would be me. I'm a gardening vegan. I would do some Googling. I don't think there's actually a test for empath. There could be. But if you Google different types of empaths and do some reading on that, we might do a stream on empaths as well. I got some things I want to say. So there's clairvoyant empaths. So people who can clairvoyance. There's a whole bunch. I'm particularly the intuitive. I just know things, not everything, but I know things. And I absolutely can communicate with the living things, sentient or otherwise. Charlie, Rach, just don't want anyone to get in their feels without understanding the definitions. Okay, thank you, Scott. Wait, you want me to pop it in the chat? Sorry, I got itchy eyeballs. Ear holes. I'll find it, Charlie. Rach. Okay. I'll drop this link in the chat mostly for Scott, so he doesn't think that he's a type 1 asshole. Because Scotty, the world needs everybody. Everyone's got a place. That's the video that Rach, Charlie is talking about. If I just dropped the link into the chat, if you would like to watch it. How hot is it over there now? Here now? Not very hot today. Cool. Well, maybe not. I'm sitting inside. Still haven't really been outside for the last 2 weeks except to do the grocery shopping. It's only going to be 21 degrees Celsius today. So that's degrees in Fahrenheit. I don't know. Whatever the calculation is, someone can do it. Robin, hi. I go back tomorrow since the 20th. Don't want to go. I'm Monday. So I've got today. I think it's Thursday here. God, I think. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm gonna get so sunburnt. Scott, I wouldn't have picked you as a tarot kind of a guy, but I love that. You're like an onion, aren't you, Scott? You're an onion, a type 1 onion. Queen says, yes, me, fauna. Yes, me, also fauna. Oh my goodness. Laurie Marie goes back tomorrow too, so I might not make the next stream because I'm scrambling to get lessons together. That's okay. What even if you, I'm not going to interrupt much. I'm not. It's a really sort of self-contained video that I'm going to share. But if you don't get to watch it now, watch it later because it's really powerful, Laurie. I think it's going to really be beautiful for a lot of people. Flora and fauna. Lol. One of my artwork categories. Future viewer, I experience too. Yes. Catherine? She moved to another state. You need to do the better work here, not standing all day. This is where you shine, Miss Shorty. Well, thank you. I'm a very fucking good traffic controller also. But it's menial work and I have a vision. Anyway, we'll get there. We've got a long-term goal. This channel, this community, we've got a vision, yeah? Thank you for being here, Miss Shorty. My pleasure. Thank you for being here. I would just be sitting here talking to myself, which I do anyway. I'm talking to the dogs. Yep. Okay, what's the time? Oh my God, it's time. We're finishing. Oh my God, I rambled on for so long. It's going to porter you to the extreme. I'll go to the bathroom and I'll see you in a minute. Mwah. I love your faces. Bye. I love you. I love you.
It's on this shorty new year. Shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty. We're so glad you're here. Camp Shorty is where you will find family. Our mod Avengers will greet you with glee. At Camp Shorty, you can shine and shine bright because Shorty Camp Leader is a fucking delight. It's on this shorty new year. Shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty. We're so glad you're here. Your opinions are valid. You can fly like a bird with your comments and scream. You will always be heard. It's the best chat on YouTube. You can cuss all you want. And here at Camp Shorty, we even say cut. It's on this shorty new year. Shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty. We're so glad you're here. Let your all caps be free. It's so liberating. We stay on topic, although occasionally things get a bit feral, but it's clear to see. It's a lit shorty new year. A shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty. We're so glad you're here. Camp Shorty is where you will find family. Our mod Avengers will greet you with glee. At Camp Shorty, you can shine and shine bright because Shorty Camp Leader is a fucking